Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
It is Monday. Can you feel the energy?
I can.
Compare it to our Friday energy.
Let's go.
It's Monday, Bull.
Everybody wake up here.
No,
Jason's half asleep. He's
I'm
filling
good.
it.
This
I'm
is
good.
you,
I found
don't
out an hour
adjust your
ago.
computer screen.
Yeah.
This is not G. Bush. he's out ill today. He's got a little neck issue. I think he's been working in the gym so hard.
Yeah.
Last Thursday he was lifting tons of iron.
Yeah,
Let me
I know.
just put it
I think
that
it's
way.
karma
He's
for
hurt
making
his
me eat
neck.
cake on Friday.
I saw that. That was funny.
Yes.
I watched that.
So we're thrilled to have Jason Lloyd from The Athletic in his place. I'm Jay Crawford. Coming up later in the show, we're going to talk about something that, if it happened 2 years ago in college football, the college football universe would have exploded. But now it's commonplace. It's happening at Ohio State, and we'll talk about that later in the show. Brad, what do you got today?
Well, I'm on the heels of that because the Ohio State, NCAA, NIL, they're on a collision course here, and I just think that until they show them the books,
Yeah.
this thing's going to get worse.
It feels like we're coming to a big reckoning in college. They better write
Yes.
the rules. Whatever they're going to do, they better decide what's legal and what isn't.
Salary cap. Seriously.
No. we don't
listen.
need it.
You need a salary cap.
I thought that this morning as I was researching to see how much some of these schools have. If you don't put a salary cap in place, it's going to be mayhem, and there's going to be about 10 teams that compete, and everybody else will be the also-rans.
I mean, it's already like kind of 10 teams.
It
compete.
is, but it's
going to be a
really
different
good.
10 teams.
It's going to be 10 Texas
Yeah,
teams
but who cares?
and everybody else.
Who
And
cares?
Notre Dame.
Free market, right? Everybody's screaming about free market.
Yeah.
Let them do what they want.
But it's not free market. You got to see the books to see how much.
Even the pros
Here.
have, look.
You got to know what the numbers are.
Yeah.
Even the pros have a salary cap, kind of, sort of.
to protect each other from the other owners.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's why
and
they
that's
have
what's
it.
But-
listen, I thought that this morning. I thought, I don't know what the number is.
Yeah.
There are already schools that have pots of $30 million.
But how could they
sitting
get
there
away
to
with
pay.
that?
Here.
Well, we're going to
It's
see
their
what
fault
happens.
they put themselves in this position.
I thought they jumped into the pool before they checked the water.
They're trying to build the plane and fly it at the same time.
That's exactly
And by
what
the
they're
way,
doing.
I'm former Orioles pitcher Tippy Martinez, and let me tell you something. The Guardians are on a roll, but can they keep it going? We'll get to that in a little bit.
If you're going to be a former Orioles pitcher, why not be like Jim Palmer,
No, he's too good.
Mike Mussina?
I don't know. Rick Manning mentioned Tippy Martinez, or maybe it was Andre Knott mentioned Tippy Martinez, and I was like, oh yeah, Tippy Martinez.
It's an old throwback
It's a
mention.
great name.
All right, let's jump into the show, shall we?
Yeah.
Accuser number 24 is coming today. Do we know? Have the papers been filed yet, Jason? Do you know, or is it's expected to be filed today?
I think they're just waiting for the stamp at the
Yeah,
courthouse.
I meant to check just before we went on. As of about 9 o'clock this morning, it had not been filed, but they're a little bit behind us in Houston. So the 24th accuser is coming today. We know the 23rd happened last week.
Right.
Yeah.
There was some interesting developments on Friday, and by interesting, I mean, what the hell is Rusty Hardin thinking?
The Russian mob lawyer.
So Rusty Hardin went on a radio station in Houston on Friday and actually opened a can that he didn't need to open. And I'm not sure anybody, legal community or sports community, can figure out why exactly he said what he said. If you haven't heard it, listen carefully and ask yourself, is this the guy you want representing you? Here it is. Stevie?
I don't know how many men are out there now that have had a massage that perhaps occasionally there was a happy ending. All right? Maybe there's nobody in your listening audience that ever happened to. I do want to point out, if it has happened, it's not a crime. Okay? Unless you are paying somebody extra or so to give you some type of sexual activity, it's not a crime. And
All right.
so at the end of the day, that's another thing that would affect conduct. Doing something or saying something or being a way that makes you uncomfortable is not a crime. And so we've had two grand juries find that, and nobody seems to want to listen.
By the way, Rusty Hardin separated at birth with my great aunt Florrie. They look like twins. Nobody besides me knows what. I mean, she's dead now, but I'm telling you, that could be my great aunt right there.
Did she have any law experience?
She had no.
Because I'm beginning
no.
to question
she worked
Rusty's
for,
credentials.
A Bank Street College, which doesn't make sense that that's a
Jason,
college.
I want you to start on this because.
That's how I start. Like,
You know what?
Deshaun,
Oddly enough, that was exactly Deshaun Watson's reaction.
and the Browns.
What
and
in
Kevin
the
Stefanski.
world is he doing?
I have no. You know what I was most upset about? I had Rusty on the radio a week before, and I asked him that exact question. He didn't give me that answer.
No, he said.
I would have loved if he'd give me
He
that answer.
said pretty much nothing when you asked.
Oh, I said, Rusty, I've had a lot of massages in my life. None of them ended in sex. How does this happen? He didn't tell me. He didn't use happy endings on me. Like, I would have loved if he just said
When
happy
you get a
ending.
happy ending in a massage, it's because you went to a hooker.
Yeah, it's not a massage.
Whatever.
It's a
You
prostitute
went to a
that's
geisha
dressed up as a
house. I
massage
don't know what to tell
therapist.
you.
I was gobsmacked when I saw that, because someone at The Athletic actually said it to me first. I was like, what is he thinking? Because okay,
I thought it was an Onion headline.
right? Like, most of this case looks like an Onion headline. But, I mean, legally, okay, fine, he's right. But in the context of what we're talking about, Rusty, why would you? Why? Why?
It's apropos of nothing. No one has accused him of paying for sex.
You got a couple things going on here. That was the craziest comment ever, right? So Rusty Hardin has done his job in the criminal world. This has been removed, right? You may need
For now.
For now.
Yeah.
You may need another representation for the civil case. It's different, right? The case here, Rusty Hardin should say nothing, right? Nothing more to say. I don't know why they feel like they have to respond to every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Well, because now they're playing ping pong with the media, right?
Here.
Jason, you know that because you had both Buzbee and Hardin
But you got to go to
in successive days.
Buzbee's game is to chase the dollars. That's all he's doing, chasing the money.
Yes.
Let me bring more pressure on you, and you'll settle me because these clients not gonna be able to pay me. I'm gonna need Deshaun Watson to pay me.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what this game is. And so to the point, if you think that you're gonna talk your way out of this, right? You just open yourself up for more ammo coming at your way, right? That was the dumbest comment ever.
I'm glad you
if I'm
said that.
Deshaun Watson, guys, I'm not settling no matter what. I know we've been through this. I know it's probably best for all
yes,
involved.
you are.
I wouldn't.
Why?
Because if I'm not guilty of anything, I will not admit guilt of anything.
That's in the real world. That's
Yes.
perfectly well and good.
Yes.
But I know
understand
where
it might
Jason's
happen.
going.
Yeah.
Where Jason's going is like, okay, what the hell is coming next? I'm taking friendly fire from my own
I'm
attorney.
getting shot by my own attorney.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the 23rd and the 24th, not a good look.
Right.
G. Bush, who's been not an apologist for D. Watson, but he's had an answer for everything, as a lot of folks have. When the 23rd came out, he goes, all right, this is starting to not look so good. And that's G. Bush. So I think you're taking 23rd, 24th, your lawyer puts his foot in it.
Yeah.
And now so I want to get to his cleanup comment, but before we read that quote, can we have, Steve and Mikey, can we have the Buzbee response? So this is what Hardin has done now in terms of how this case might play out. Buzbee says this may have single-handedly lost his client the case because I'm absolutely going to use that comment because I think it speaks volumes to how his team and his client think about the massage industry.
That's not true, right?
I agree with you.
He's playing the game,
Yes,
right?
right.
The game
Sure, he's saying what he has to say.
The game is being played, right? So the response is he just opened himself up to the attack. Now, to Jason's point, I will tell you this. Watson better get in the room because this thing is not going anywhere, right? And the Browns here, when they paid the $230 million, they may not have said it, but I gave you enough firepower to walk yourself out of it.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's $45 million
That's what
in
it
the
is.
signing bonus.
Right? That's what
Go
it is.
get rid of
because
this.
to your point, he's not going to win this like that, right? This is not going away. Buzbee's not going away. He has to get paid, right?
Sure.
And he's not getting paid for them clients.
I understand. Well, all you're saying makes sense. All I know is if I were innocent, as he claims to be, I would never.
And I'm
agree
with
to
you.
any of it.
I'm with
I
you.
would never settle. However, I do think you're right. I think ultimately they will settle. There's a lot of pressure here. And Rusty Hardin, think about this, guys. You know, we keep thinking of this suspension in terms of what he might have done or not done criminally.
Right.
But the bottom line is the league can suspend him
Yes.
for conduct detrimental to the league,
Right.
inappropriate things.
And that doesn't mean illegal.
Right.
No.
So if Rusty Hardin is saying, hey, we all get
Yeah.
then basically he's saying, fair or not, that my client got a bunch of happy endings. The league don't want to hear about that.
But he didn't pay for them.
Whether he paid for them or not, the league doesn't want to hear about that, and that could affect his suspension.
Well, let's the Hardin cleanup. So
Yeah.
after, I can
By
only
the way,
imagine.
Hardin cleanup of the
I'm
happy
telling you,
ending.
Deshaun.
By the way,
Clean up of the happy
I
ending.
think Buzbee's quote is correct, except for the fact that it won't definitely lose him the case.
No, I think that's
that's what I
hyperbole, but
think.
that's what these guys
But,
speak in.
but
grandstand.
he's right that the quote shows a level of disrespect from at least Hardin, not necessarily Watson, but at least Hardin,
And-
for massage therapists.
To Brad's point and to your point, I don't
Yeah.
think that that's going to swing whether this case is won or lost.
No,
but I will
yeah.
say, if you're putting things in either Deshaun's camp or in Buzbee's camp, this certainly is ammo for Buzbee
Without a
if it
doubt.
goes to trial.
Right.
Yeah. It's not
I'm going
gonna
to
hurt
ask
him.
you guys, remind me to ask you guys the payoff question here after we read this, because Hardin, I'm sure, got a phone call from the Browns and from Deshaun Watson, and it went something like this.
What the hell are you
What
doing
the, and it wasn't hell, did I just hear? So then he goes into spin mode and says, Deshaun did not pay anyone for sex. I was using the term hypothetically and not describing Deshaun's case. I have reiterated to others, it's not okay to do anything that a woman does not agree to.
Yeah,
Even though in his soundbite he said, making someone uncomfortable is not against the law.
Clean up on aisle 10.
Yeah,
Right?
and
This is
11,
this
Watson
is-
should
and 12.
fire Rusty
this is
Hardin.
what this
That would be
is.
the move right now.
Well, I thought maybe that he might do that, but I think what he's doing internally, so he doesn't want that headline.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what he's probably doing is saying, Rusty, you're a figurehead. Shut your damn mouth.
Yeah.
And perhaps someone else on the team, maybe the woman who spoke to HBO Sports, who I thought was incredibly buttoned up, maybe she becomes the lead dog here. But I don't think you want Rusty Hardin arguing this case in front of a jury.
Well, here's what's kind of odd about how they've attacked this whole thing is they were silent for so long.
Right.
know.
You never heard anything from Rusty or his defense team, and they were taking fire and they were taking hits. And Buzbee would talk to anyone who would listen, and Rusty was not counterpunching at all. And I texted him when Deshaun first came to Cleveland. I reached out to Rusty, never got a response from him. And then all of a sudden, like that, it turned, and they started firing now, and now they're trying to
Why
answer
do you-
It was the
everything.
HBO special, right?
That had a lot to do with it.
HBO special brought a lot of heat here. They weren't expecting this.
I
heat.
think
They weren't-
so.
they
It was
weren't
Rusty
on-
saying,
they-
"Oh, we're going to play this in the
They
media.
weren't on
Let's
the
go."
front side of it, right? And so it's different heat than in the courtroom case, the criminal case in Houston.
Sure.
So now you have to sit out here and figure out, okay, how am I responding? When am I responding? Because the more he says, he's just giving more ammo, even if it does mean nothing, right? That little bit of soundbite you just got out of him and said, see, I told you, they know something is going on here.
Right.
I think Rusty was very honest because we talked about this, and he said, like, listen, we were never going to win the PR battle. Like, it was just too much. That could not be my focus at the moment. We had to focus on the criminal component of this. Once the no bill came back and we knew there was not going to be any criminal charges, then we could move on to the NFL, and then we could move on to the public perception of it. And so because I told a couple people, they need to talk. Like, if you don't talk, that's my big thing. I say it all the time. If you don't talk, we talk for you.
Rusty
and you
Hardin
don't want
comes
that.
off as a rich, entitled D-bag.
But-
that's what he comes
but-
off as, and it's making his client look bad by extension.
I mean, hearing Rusty Friday, I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't be talking. That was the first time, and I don't want to bring age into this, but this was the first time
sound
where I
old.
looked at Rusty and
Yeah.
thought, boy, he's 80 years old. He's at the end of his career.
Yeah, he's lost his fastball.
Maybe he shouldn't be out. And because
Yeah.
I thought he handled himself well when he was on 92.3, because I pressed him on a couple different things, and I thought he handled himself really well. But then hearing that on Friday, I was like,
yeah.
oh, wow.
But
okay.
Jason, it's all reactionary, right? They're feeling this undue pressure, right? Because the public swell is building out here on them, right? And so they feel like they have to respond, Bull, in every shape, form, or fashion. And every time you respond, they're going to pick that apart.
Well, if that was Busby's strategy, it worked. Let's just get Rusty to talk.
Jay, but they're picking out pieces and parts, right? If you read Busby's statement, it was nonsensical, right? But he's like, oh, they lost the case on this.
Yeah, but that's-
you didn't
You
lose
know, we
anything.
get caught up sometimes, too. Most people in America don't care about this story. In Cleveland, they care, sure. There's a new story every day. I mean, it's like something else new.
If you take into account, Bull, that he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, I think that people are watching this with interest.
Yeah.
I don't think they're scouring the internet for the latest every day.
Right.
We are.
Right.
But I don't think nationally that's going on. But I think that a lot of eyeballs are on this case, in particular, I think, on the NFL, to see what they do. Last week, we floated the idea that Charles Robinson had said, and he's a Yahoo reporter who seems to be plugged into this story somehow.
Yeah.
He made the point on his podcast, I believe, late last week that, he believes it could be a year, and he believes the Browns are preparing for it to be a year. I raised my eyebrows when I heard that.
So a couple things on that, and I'll try to move quick. Number one, I don't think it's a year, because if it's a year, then they would have just put him on the commissioner's exempt list.
You would think.
And Roger Goodell has already said that's off the table. So to me, that's less than a year. If the Browns are now preparing for a year, that's a completely different song than what they've been singing up until this point. And I don't know what drastically has changed. 23 and 24 does not make this a year.
No.
Like,
No.
I don't want this to sound callous. 22 is the same as 24 is the same as 34.
Right.
As long as the allegations are similar. Now, if a woman comes out and says, he raped me,
That's totally different.
everything stops. Right.
Yeah.
Now the criminal component comes back in and everything stops and everything changes.
I don't know.
As long as the allegations stay similar, I don't think 23 and 24 really make a difference.
Why is the league waiting? Why is the league waiting right now? Don't they want it off the plate?
No, because it's a very sensitive issue. Let me just tell you, you know how sensitive it is, and I'll tell you this, and I'm a proponent. I told you, I'm clear to tell you, got 4 daughters. I'm concerned, right? It's going to play as it plays, only as it plays along the entire way. We have to see this in entirety.
Right.
Now, what the problem is, and I know what Goodell's problem is, right? Because if they come out with something, suspension that is out of line, what is perceived out of line out here, there's a section of this country that's going to light into them.
Sure.
Right? Waiting on it. Right?
This might be the biggest rock and hard place
on the east
Goodell's
side of
ever been
Cleveland,
in.
waiting on it. Right? Okay. Because you have a gentleman that has just gotten out of the criminal case in Houston, right?
Won't face criminal charges.
Right. That has tied the NFL's hands to a degree, right?
Sure.
Because this should have been put to bed.
Although there's precedent set.
Yeah,
There's
but
been
the
no criminal charges in other cases.
If it looks like it's out of line and out of skew, boy, they're gonna get the they're gonna get the kitchen sink coming at
So
them.
how do you think the Trevor Bauer thing plays into it?
Well, I don't think it plays into it from Watson's standpoint, because I think baseball's on its own game over there, right?
You don't
they're
think
doing
that
their
they're-
own thing, right?
No.
I think they tried. I think the impact on the NFL may be, we got to do something, right? But there's nobody
Jason,
waiting in LA for portion of the country not waiting in LA to see what happened to Bauer.
Jason, let me ask you your own question. What do you think happened in the day after Manfred came out with 2 years?
2 years. It's really 3.
It is 3 because he lost last year
Yeah.
after June or July,
Right.
whenever. What do you think the conversations were on Park Avenue in the NFL offices when that news came out? Because I was shocked by that, and I said immediately, this puts the NFL in a real spot.
Bucks.
I don't know if the NFL cares what goes on in baseball, because I had the same initial reaction of, oh boy, if Trevor got 2 years with no criminal indictment, what does this mean for Deshaun? And the NFL, you know, when the whole Vax card came out, an NHL player forged a Vax card and got a significantly harsher suspension what the NFL gave Antonio Brown. So I don't know that necessarily they look at baseball. The NFL feels like they're above everyone else to begin with.
And I believe baseball was doing the Dodgers a favor. I don't think they want Trevor Bauer on the team, and I don't think they want to pay him. I think that factors in, and that's not a case in football.
And I don't want to put everything on a scale, because bad is bad. But what some of the things that the allegations against Bauer are really violent compared to what is facing Deshaun.
And he's despised in his sport.
And I'm not trying to dismiss or downplay what the allegations against Deshaun.
There's different severities
but there
here.
is different severities here.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next topic. Before I do, one quick question. We'll blast around the panel.
Yeah.
The percentage of chance that you think this court or this case ever ends up in a courtroom?
10%.
5.
One of them could. I think one of them could. But I think ultimately the NFL is going to pressure Deshaun to settle this now, right now. Settle all these cases.
They want this done with.
I think the NFL is going to tell him, listen, clean this up and get rid of this, and it will be X number of games. If you take this to trial and embarrass us, the gloves come off.
Well, that's you're talking about an indirect message. They're not going to deliver a message like that for him to settle.
But you know as well as I can do, they can tell him that.
They can
without
get that
telling
word.
him
It's
that.
going to be indirect, right?
They can let his agent know.
Yeah, because
that if this goes to court and
not
you
coming
lose,
back. Right, I got
it
you.
is an entirely different ballgame.
So I think one of them could go to trial, but not all 24. There's no way.
I'm going to go with 1% chance that any of them see a courtroom. We'll see. Okay, next up, Guardians, right? Wow, 5 of 6 now. This team has won.
Yeah.
Now I know they're beating bad teams; they're supposed to. But yesterday was an interesting game because they get 3 runs in the first inning on a Jimenez home run, and then the bats just completely went to sleep. Plesac was great. Pitched 6 innings. I think he gave up 2 runs. I thought one of the stories pitching-wise for the Indians or for the Guardians yesterday, Morgan and Clase out of the pen. They go 2 2/3 of scoreless baseball. even though it took us 2 or 3 of his outings before we could remember his name was Morgan, because I kept saying, the young kid with the great stuff. Eli Morgan, we know his name now. They were great yesterday. They've won 5 of 6. They're a game behind 500, and they're 4.5 now out of first place. In second place.
Yeah, listen, we had a debate, it might have been on our practice week, whether the Guardians would be in the mix at the beginning of September.
Right.
And you guys all said no, and I said yes. And I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I do think Francona has a way of leading his team at least to stay in the mix and overachieve. The roster as is not an over 500 roster in my opinion.
No.
But they'll keep playing well, especially against these bad teams. They've struggled against the good teams. The combo of Morgan and Clase right now at the back of the pen has been very good.
Tremendous.
And what's interesting about Morgan is a couple things. First of all, he was a starter in the minors and even last year with the
I think he
Indians.
could be a starter.
He could be, but he's really thriving in this role and not as where he's so used to the guys thriving in the bullpen being these overpowering fastball guys, and that's not his thing.
He's a great setup guy.
He's been great, and he can go multiple innings, which you'll love, right? They had to bring him in the 7th.
Yeah.
And he did. He got out of that inning after a couple of walks. Who would pitch the big lefty?
Henches?
Henches.
Yes,
thank you.
Henches got a little bit of trouble.
Anybody's name right now.
Yeah.
But Henches had gotten in trouble with a couple of walks, and then Morgan got out of it and really got 2 pop-ups, got out of the inning.
Then came back for the 8th, too.
Yes. And Clase's been lights out of late.
Yeah.
He had a little struggles early in April, but and in a league where there are maybe 8 reliable closers, I think the Guardians have one of them. He may not be on the top of the reliable list, but he's on the reliable list.
Well, you got to talk about, and I've said it before on the show, I think you don't underestimate the value of Tito Francona, right? Good management brings to any professional club, even when you have undervalued players, right? They seem to get the most out of those players, right? And I think that's what's happening now with the Guardians.
Always, yeah.
Their window's really going to open next year. I think that's when their contention window gets thrown open. This is who they are. They're a 500 team. They're gonna get hot. They're gonna go cold. They're gonna win some. Like they're a 500
beat the bad teams.
They'll beat the bad teams. They'll lose to some bad teams. They'll lose some games they should win. They're a young team still trying to figure it out. Ultimately, I think they're a 500 team. But this division, they could hang around. The White Sox have been shredded with injuries.
Yep.
The Twins, I still don't believe in the Twins. I don't believe in their pitching. So they may still linger in the race just because their division they're in. I don't think they're good enough to make a deep playoff run right now. But this year was all about, once they missed on Matt Olson, once they missed on these other guys, they were going to play all the kids, and we've seen that. They've got a lot of decisions to make. I think I talked about this last time I was in. They have a lot of decisions they have to make with the 40-man. It's packed full of prospects right now. Mm-hmm. It's
a lot of middle infield prospects.
It's untenable to keep it this way. They're going to have to make some trades. They could be buyers at the deadline, regardless of what their standings are, just because they have to start freeing up some of these 40-man spots and start sort of rebalancing the roster a little bit. So they're looking at as many young kids as they can, and I think next year the window, and I hate to say wait till next year in Cleveland, but next year I think is when this contention window really gets thrown
the
open.
Ownership help will be firmly in place next year because we know that he's taken on the minority owner.
I don't know why that hasn't happened
Yeah,
yet.
I thought it was supposed to have happened. He's got a ton of money.
It's just the legal process.
They need obviously a financial boost.
Yes.
They need
and that's coming
but
in the form of the minority owner, and he is going to spend money on this.
Well, so I had a lot of conversations this spring training about that, about an injection from a minority owner. And basically, the way it was explained to me is, if you're expecting David Blitzer, which is who we're talking about here, to come in and start writing checks to cover losses, that's not going to happen.
Not to cover losses, no.
But
to make the team competitive, where it makes sense.
I think it's a multi-year process here, and really where where they are interested in Blitzer is his real estate background and sort of developing the area around Progressive Field. I think that garage is going to look a lot differently.
Yes.
And they're going to start. So if you can build up some economic development and mixed use around the stadium, and then pour that, this is your area, and pour that back into the payroll, that's how they feel like they're going to win.
So I know for a fact that the Guardians are keen on Progressive Field being the front door to the entry into downtown.
Sure.
Right.
So if you look to the west of Progressive Field, they have all this area that they want developed.
Untapped.
Right. It has to be here.
Yeah.
You don't go to any major market where they're not developing around the publicly financed
It's stunning,
stadium.
the lack of development around a downtown ballpark here in Cleveland.
But they're kind of pinned in. We did a big study on this at the Athletic last year. They're kind of pinned in. It's like a highway. You know, Carnegie's sort of like a highway, and you got the cemetery right there.
Right.
So, and the Dolans don't own any of that land. So they have to figure out. So first of all, they got to buy that land.
So Bull Stadium, do you know what that used to look like when I played there?
Oh, Chicago?
Yes.
Oh, it was
What was it?
rough.
How rough?
Pretty rough.
And what does it look like now?
It's better.
I went back there, they're pushing baby carriages around. I said, what is this?
Maybe one day here.
But no,
This is not gonna happen
it happens
overnight,
because
though.
you have leadership at the top that
Yeah.
says this is going to
Vision.
happen.
Yeah.
This is
Someone with a
going to
vision.
happen,
Yeah.
right? It's the same story with Burke Lakefront Airport. It's the same
get rid of
story
that,
with
too.
the access to the lake, right? Somebody at the top of the food ticket has to be. This is about to happen.
Yeah,
Guys,
and
but-
Jason, you're right on the development, but the Blitzer
Yeah.
group, they want a winner here.
Absolutely.
They want to win.
But this
and-
isn't this isn't going to be Blitzer signs
Not-
on.
not like that.
No.
And the payroll goes up
No, no, no,
25
no.
million next
No,
year. Like
but
that's not how it's
it
going
is going to
It
turn
better
around.
go up 25 million, whether it's him or not. This is ridiculous. They're not losing money if the payroll goes up 25 million. I don't believe they are.
I should have thrown a higher number.
Yeah.
You know
a
what
much
I
higher
mean?
number.
Yeah.
They-
Yeah,
listen,
25 would get us middle of the pack.
The
Not
bottom
even
line
middle
on
of
this
the pack.
team is, I know there's a lot of young players, but they're not all going to pan out.
Correct.
And for the most part, the Guardians/Indians, most of the hitters they brought up in the last decade have not panned out.
But they've sort of, I think, altered the way that their approach to scouting with hitting.
Yeah.
They've really gone the contact route. Who makes good contact? It's almost like the pitchers. Let's focus on guys with control, and we can build up the
Right,
arm
but
strength.
how many guys on this current roster are you sure are starters in the lineup? Are definitely.
Well,
major
I
league
think that's what they're
starters?
trying to
Not
figure
that
out right
many.
now. I think Josh Naylor's a stick. I think Jimenez
Naylor
is
is
a
the starter.
stick.
I know
Yeah.
you don't like him, but
I
Naylor
don't
is the
love
starter.
him.
I think Naylor plays somewhere.
Yep.
Miles
agree.
Straw plays somewhere because of his defense in the contract. Jimenez, I think, plays somewhere. It's curious to me that they haven't played him at
Yeah,
short.
but none of these guys are
Me
frontline
too, by the
players,
way.
and none
But
of them
they're
are going to ever be
24.
frontline.
They're first-year guys. But you're seeing enough
Well,
to
not
believe.
Straw and not Naylor. They're not first-year guys.
No, but they're young.
Yeah,
yes,
they're-
but they're never going to be frontline players. I don't think.
Well, I think that right now
You
they're-
said starter. There's a difference between starter and a.
No,
you know.
yes, that's true. Yes.
Listen, I think Naylor is
I think Naylor
a
could be
lot
pretty
better
good.
than you're giving him
I
credit
do
But
to.
too.
they need a couple of more elite level players.
Yes. Oh,
and they
no
don't
question.
have those
but
guys.
they're going to
question.
get those guys when they bundle up all these prospects that we're
Yeah.
talking
You
about.
don't want to bring them in until you're ready.
I think that right now
that's
they're
what I
trying,
think they're doing.
They're trying to see, okay, Jimenez fits at second. I think they're holding short for Gabriel Arias. It's the only thing I
think so,
of.
too.
Or else they're just trying to maintain Rosario's trade value by playing him at short and trying to move him
Maybe.
in a
He's
midseason
been
deal.
terrible.
He's been terrible.
he's not good.
Jimenez is an everyday player, I believe. Owen Miller's proven to be an everyday player. Naylor's proven to be an everyday player. So you're starting to see it fit. Obviously, you have Hosey at third. You have Miles in center. So now you can look at this and say, okay, we need a corner outfield bat. Let's take 3 or 4 of these shortstop prospects we have
Yes.
and go get a marquee bat. But this year is about figuring out who fits where and then really press and go, I think, at the deadline this summer, this winter. And I think you're going to see a lot of movement and a lot of
I
trades.
just think all the guys you're naming as starters, I agree they're starting caliber players. I just think they're lower level starting caliber players. I hope I'm wrong. I think they need 2 legitimate bats in this lineup, like 2 frontline players, and that's hard to get when you're going to spend $50 million.
And that's why they'll come and trade.
Yeah.
I think they'll come
Yeah.
and trade.
And I'm a little worried about the pitching too, because I'm not sold on Plesac or Savali.
Zach Meisel told me they should get a starter at the deadline. That they need to go.
Wow,
get another
that blows me away. Really?
Yeah, he thinks that that's. I mean, listen, Bieber.
Man.
We've already talked about Bieber. I don't think he's going to be here long
No,
term. They're going to have
he's
to come to a
not.
decision
No.
on that.
Right.
Espino's probably ready next year. You can plug him in,
Yeah.
probably, but that's no guarantee. There's
Right.
injuries.
Yeah.
Savali and Plesac to me are not in the level that we're talking
They're
about.
huge question marks all of a sudden.
Absolutely. McKenzie is. I think McKenzie's
McKenzie's the real deal.
He's always been a top prospect,
Yes.
and now it's all coming together.
I do worry about his health. McKenzie.
I worry about a strong wind coming and blowing
Yeah.
him to Akron.
He's just, when you watch him pitch, you're like, not that he's violent, like, I don't think he's a Clevenger, but he's so thin.
He did have a major injury a couple years ago.
I know he did. And I'm worried that,
He had a couple. He missed a lot of time.
Missed
in
a
the
lot of
minors,
time.
we're, is he on?
Tim's here.
Tim Couch is on. All right, so let's bring Tim on. And Mike McNuggets, you have something that you want to bring him in with.
What's up, Tim?
Yeah, this is
up, guys?
within the last 5 minutes. Tim Couch has been nominated for the 2023 College Football Hall of Fame.
Let's
So Give
go.
a round of applause.
Let's
here
go.
for Tim Couch, well deserved. And
Attaboy.
if we have any say in the voting, we're gonna get every UCSS fan to vote. Tim, you will be a Hall of Famer if we have any help in it.
He's going.
Mark my
Hey, I
words.
appreciate it. I need the help. I think this is about my 7th or 8th year on the finals list and haven't been able to get in yet. All the votes I can get, I really.
Well, where the UK people at? Y'all running
I know.
droves. Come on with the UK folks.
Tim knows.
telling
Tim
you.
knows. They're studying about the 8th grade basketball players that Calipari's going to offer scholarships to next week.
Who votes on this, by the way? I don't know.
I think
right.
it's writers.
Is
Is
it
it writers or fans?
I think
Or
it's
both?
both.
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah,
a
I
mix.
believe it's both.
Yeah.
Tim, go down and tell Sam Bowie to get on his job.
Man, I'm telling you, Sam, help me out. Rex Chapman, all these guys need to come help me out, man.
Yeah, we need to make a blocker charge video and have Rex send it out from your playing days. And then at the bottom of it, he can hashtag, and by the way, vote Tim College Football Hall of Fame.
We're gonna vote him in for all the hits he took here in Cleveland.
I was going to say, there's a lot of charges on that.
Like, God bless
He took a whole lot of charges. Tim, how are you, man? Good to see you again.
I'm good. I'm doing great. It's great to see you guys.
The big Browns conversation earlier was, and I don't know if you followed the comments over the weekend, but Rusty Hardin should probably work pro bono for Deshaun Watson because we're not sure if he's helping his case or hurting his case. Did you hear those comments? Are you comfortable enough commenting on what he said Friday and how he tried to clean it up?
I didn't hear all the comments. Can you catch me up on exactly what he said?
So he basically, correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
Good luck, Jay.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Hold on to your seat. He went on a radio station and said, look, happy endings aren't illegal. A lot of guys.
The term happy
and
endings.
he used the term happy endings.
Did he really?
Went there.
He said happy endings. Huh?
He used the term happy endings.
Do we want to play the sound?
Yeah, let's play it.
Yeah, listen,
Give
Tim.
us 1 sec, yes.
Okay.
All right,
Stevie,
Tim,
you
listen,
dial it up.
this is Rusty Hardin on Friday on a radio show in Houston.
I don't know how many men are out there now that have had a massage that perhaps occasionally there was a happy ending. All right? Maybe there's nobody in your listening audience that ever happened to.
Can we see Tim?
I do want to point out, if it has happened, it's not a crime, okay? Unless you are paying somebody extra or so to give you some type of sexual activity, it's not a crime. And so at the end of the day, that's another thing that would affect conduct. Doing something or saying something or being a way that makes you uncomfortable is not a crime. And so we had two
There was more, but what's your general reaction to that?
If that was your attorney.
Yeah, how are you feeling about that right now, Tim?
I think I'm on Google right now searching for a new attorney.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's just you just shake your head at that one. I mean, what else can you really say? It's hard to believe what he's saying, and that that's he's representing Deshaun in this case. That's a tough one, man. That's
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. So, yeah, I think I'd be searching for new representation.
McNugget, zoom in on me. I'm gonna give you the Chuck Daly sideline face from the Pistons. That's what he would do on listen to this. All
right. We're going to get a tight shot of Brad here. This is the Chuck Daly reaction to that comment?
Chuck Daly reaction to bad things happening on the sideline.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
He just wants all this to go away. Now, I will say,
Yes.
Tim, he tried to clean it up. Here's how he tried to clean it up. And this, we're presuming, happened after Deshaun called him and said, what in the holy hell did you just say?
Right.
So he released he didn't go on a radio
Somebody released
station.
it for him. I
Somebody
don't know if this
released
was his statement.
a prearranged statement. It said Deshaun did not pay anyone for sex. I was using the term hypothetically and not describing Deshaun's case. I've reiterated to others it's not okay to do anything that a woman does not agree to. That makes it all better, doesn't it?
Yeah, that clears it right up, huh?
I don't even know. I mean, what can you say at this point? To what? The comments are ridiculous, Tim. But I want, so much of the conversation around this has been what the Browns will do if Deshaun Watson gets suspended, right? So we've had the conversation. Everybody in Cleveland has had the conversation. Should you stick with Baker? But here's another question. We're going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but I'd love your take on this now. There was somebody who covers the Carolina Panthers suggested that, there's right now the Browns and Panthers are debating. They might make a trade for Baker, but the Browns want a higher draft pick, and the Browns want Panthers to cover, a lot of the money. If the Panthers are willing to trade, if the Panthers trade Sam Darnold in the deal for Baker, and because of that the Browns get a higher draft pick back, does that make sense to you? Darnold and Baker make the same amount of money. Would you take Darnold back in a deal if you can get a better draft pick, and then he's your backup for Brissett if it's a long Watson suspension? Does that make some sense?
Yeah, I guess that probably makes sense. Darnold's a guy who's, he's got some talent. He's just been in a bad situation early in his career. But he's certainly a guy who's played well at times. So he's a guy you think you can bring in and develop. He was a high draft pick, and I think that that would certainly be something the Browns would be interested in doing.
Yeah, I think, especially if we can help you get a draft pick, too, because at this point,
For
I
sure.
just think the idea of keeping Baker, it just seems everybody that covers the team seems to think it's untenable. I don't know who knows. What do you think of? I can't remember if we talked to you about this already. But have you commented on the David Njoku contract already, or did we talk to you about that last week? I can't remember now. I don't think we did. So what did you think about that big extension they signed with David Njoku?
Happy for David. I think I was a little surprised, though. That was a lot of money, and paying him like one of the top tight ends in the league. He's a guy who he certainly looks the part. But at times we've seen him be pretty inconsistent as well. But hopefully this contract motivates him to work even harder and become the player that we all thought he could be, when he was drafted high coming out of college, coming out of Miami. So, the talent level is certainly there, and he flashes. Those playmaking skill sets come up from time to time. You just want to see him do it more consistently, and hopefully this this contract will motivate him, get him on that path of being a little more consistent.
Tim is so nice. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met.
That was a nice way to put it.
I know you're being
been inconsistent.
I know
That's
he's
true.
being nice.
Yeah.
But I think I know Tim well enough where when he saw that number, don't let me put words in your mouth, but I'm imagining you had to look to make sure that you read that number right. Because, Jason, I don't know that we talked to you about it because it happened after you were in last.
Yeah.
What in the hell are they doing?
I was stunned. Yeah, I was stunned by the number just because the production doesn't match the number. He's being paid like a top 5 tight end. He has not produced like a top 5
Not
tight
even
end
close.
at this point. Now, you can make excuses about, he's going to have a better quarterback now. That's true. He's the number 1 guy now. That's true. Obviously, Kevin Stefanski likes him. Njoku's wanted out multiple times, and David got him back in the boat. I'm sorry. Kevin got him back in the boat every time.
But why pay him proactively?
Because there's just not many to pick from, Tim. I mean, Tim, you know that as well as anyone.
They had him for this year.
There's just not that many tight ends out there.
They had him on a tag.
They had him on a tag.
$56 million.
The only thing I can think of is the fact that if he has the type of year, you're banking on him having a big year now, and now you have him locked in on year 2 when Deshaun's number goes higher on the cap. This team is going to start. I know the cap's going up, but this team is going to start feeling some cap crunch here coming up when you're paying your quarterback $45 million.
And you've got one of the highest paid defensive backs in the league, one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the league. They've never had cap issues before, but it's coming.
So when you get cap issues, these are short-term deals. People are going to start moving around here. And let me just say this, Jay. This is not the first time somebody's been overpaid in any sport, right? You just not.
But this one just seems so egregious.
People pay.
His production is middle of the league, middle of the road.
But people pay for what they perceive to be potential.
But
right?
we've had 5 years to see what he can do.
But I mean, so what? Here, how many times have we done that here in Cleveland? Overpaid people. Cavs for years ago.
Yeah, a long time
Right,
ago.
but we shouldn't keep doing it. Just
and the other thing, Tim,
we can go to the East Coast, West Coast. It happens all the time.
Essentially, it looks like this to me. I'm trying to do the gymnastics in my head, saying, wait, why would they do this? $28 million's guaranteed. So essentially, if they're not happy after 2 years, and they were going to pay him this year anyhow on the tag.
Right.
So essentially, it's like 2 tag years, and after 2 years, if you haven't done it after 7 years, it's not coming.
It's not coming.
So I imagine they would cut bait, and we shouldn't look
probably.
at that number as 56. We should look at it as 28.
Right.
One thing I want to ask Tim, though, was, Tim, in talking about the cap and the fact that there are going to be a cap crunch coming at some point, they just moved on from J.C. Tretter. There's going to be a rookie center this year, and they're paying their guards a ton of money. And that's kind of a luxury to have, really. And you needed it when you had Baker as the quarterback. I don't know necessarily that you need to be paying your guards $30 million when Deshaun is your quarterback. But as a quarterback, this has always fascinated me. Obviously, you want 5 strong players in front of you. If you have to have a weakness, though, in your offensive line, where's the easiest spot to cover? If you have one hole as a quarterback, where do you want that hole to be? Where can you cover it best?
In my opinion, I would say right tackle if you got a right-handed quarterback. Left tackle is a very important position because it's your blind side. You want somebody that you don't even have to worry about over there. You can just trust that you're not going to get hit in the back. Pressure right up the middle is a nightmare for any quarterback because you can't step up in the pocket. So that right tackle position would probably be the one. If I had to pick one where I could say that could be our weakest spot, I would probably take that right tackle because you can see the pressure coming. You can step up. You can get away from it a little easier than you can coming from up the middle or off your blind side.
You didn't have any weak spots on your line when you played.
Tim had 5 Matadors in front of him when he played here.
Ole. Poor thing, man. I don't think I've ever seen an NFL quarterback teed off on like you were.
Shoot, I'm feeling it today, too. My body, man. When I get up in the mornings, it takes me a few minutes to get going.
You got to stretch.
Yeah.
Right, I know.
You wake up
Yeah,
sometimes
for sure.
and think you're just on the ground from a hit in a Browns game. Still feeling that pain.
Oh, man, sometimes, yeah, I feel it, dude. I wake up, I have dreams sometimes, actually, and I'll jerk in the middle of the night, and it'll wake myself up, and I still dream like I'm playing and somebody's getting ready to hit me, and I'll stiff arm people. I'm jumping out of the way.
That's called PTSD.
PTSD, yeah, I think that's what it is.
And I'm sure you have it.
Tim, listen, we can joke about it now, and good on you for still being involved in Cleveland and coming back, because it could be really, and I'm sure you've gotten this question before, but it could be so easy for you to have bitterness and resentment toward the way you were handled and treated here. Why don't you?
I think that's a good question. And that's a question I get asked a lot, because I think when I tell people I'm still a huge Browns fan, they're like, well, why? They didn't treat you great. They kind of ruined your career, but for me, I think you can look at it one or two ways. You can be bitter and you can have all this hate and resentment going on inside of you, but that's a tough way to go about it. For me, I choose to look at it as like this team gave me an opportunity to be an NFL player and live out a dream. They believed in me so much, they made me the number one pick in the draft and brought me in and gave me an opportunity to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL, which is all I ever wanted, was an opportunity. And we had some really good times here. They just were just a lot of ups and downs, and unfortunately had a lot of injuries and couldn't stay healthy. But I really loved my time in Cleveland. I love the organization, and just loved having the opportunity to be a Cleveland Brown.
I told you, he really is one of the
It's
nicest
amazing.
people you'll meet.
I got to tell you, man, if I was you, I'd be like, screw them. I'm done with Cleveland. I'm never going back.
I think Tim pointed out something there that's one of my favorite sayings in the world is hate corrodes the vessel that carries it. Mm-hmm. And it's only going to tear you apart.
Yeah.
And I've had these conversations with Tim off the air too, and I can tell you, because Tim, I never told you this, but I had a number of people ask me, is that BS? Is that an act? Tim acting like he's all cool with Cleveland? And I go, no, it's not. It's genuinely who he is. Does he wish his time here would have gone better? Of course he does. Does he feel like maybe he didn't get the most fair shake? Absolutely, and he should. Yeah. But in all of our private conversations, he's always been nothing but, hey, man, they gave me an opportunity. Mm-hmm. They paid me well for my time there. It didn't work out, but I'm not going to look back. I'm only looking forward, and that's why Tim don't know this, but a lot of people don't know this, but Tim's more successful in business after life than he was as an athlete, and this was one of the greatest high school athletes of all time, as voted on by ESPN, for crying out loud. They're not wrong on anything. But I mean, here he is in the afterlife, guys. He's not hunting for nickels. Well, he's doing pretty well.
It really speaks to the testament of his personality and what he's made of, right? Because Tim knows this for a fact. How many people we played with have been stuck in the mud here, still in their feelings from 30 years ago that can't seem to move forward, right? Yeah. And I've been in bad situations, right? Sure. And so, but I'm not bitter about them. I keep it moving, right? And so, but some people can't seem to keep it moving. You read about them all the time. I think they had him over 30 for 30, and last day I was like, gee, y'all still mad? That's 35 years ago. And so you have to be able as a player to acknowledge where you're, because here we all were given an opportunity, right? Some people walk into better situations than others, right? And you can sit over there all day like, I wish I was over there. Well, I'm not. I'm over here, right? Yeah. And so you try to figure out a way to make it work. And I think it's just kudos to him to be able to come back and speak to that and still keep intact and understand the perspective of him as being a player and to give him a chance to be a pro, live out his childhood dream.
No question.
So real quick, I think it's a natural bridge to cross, and I'm just a substitute teacher here, so maybe these guys have already asked you this, and if so, I apologize. But I think there are some parallels between you and Baker being the number one overall pick, it not going the way that you think. He obviously has a lot of bitterness and how this is ending. What would you tell him in terms of how this is going for him? I think you had it far worse than he did in terms of the talent around him and whatever else. But the ending is going to be the same. It's not going to be the ending you wanted as a number one overall pick, and he's going to feel like he got screwed by Cleveland. What would your counsel be to him now and maybe 10 or 20 years from now? Because I don't know that Baker's going to be you. I don't know that we're going to be having a conversation with Baker on this set in 25 years.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We were in very similar situations coming in as a number one overall pick. I came into an expansion team. Baker walked into a team that didn't win a game. the previous year. So we walked into a tough situation, and we both were able to take the team to the playoffs. And, Baker won a game in the playoffs. So, and it's the only 2 times the Browns have been in the playoffs in the last 20-some years, since 1999. So, overall, when Baker looks back at his career, he's going to feel a lot of bitterness, man. He's going to feel like he was let go way too early. They gave up on him way too early. And I certainly felt that way as well because of, and because of injuries. And he's going to feel that bitterness. And I'm not going to say I didn't feel it either when I was a 25, 26, 27-year-old kid. But you got to learn to get over it and move past it and just realize, that, hey, that was your opportunity. It didn't work out for a lot of different reasons. And, go on and try to make the best of your career. He's still got a lot of career left. He's a young guy. He's going to land on his feet somewhere when he gets healthy. He's a very talented football player, in my opinion. Just like I said, man, just be thankful for the opportunity because this is the NFL. There's a lot of tremendous players, a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. And anytime you get a shot to be a starting quarterback for an NFL franchise, you got to be appreciative of that opportunity. And, if sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Just try to make the best of it and move on.
Tim, I just saw news just broke in the last 5 minutes that I know he wasn't your head coach when you were here, but he was the defensive coordinator, I believe, one of the years you were here. Romeo Cornell just announced his retirement from the NFL. I don't know what kind of relationship you had with him the year he was here as the DC, because obviously he's a quarterback. But any thoughts or memories on Romeo?
Yeah, just to remember him as he was a great guy. Everyone on the team loved being around him. He was just like a wealth of knowledge for NFL. He'd been in the league for so long. He could tell you all these different stories, and he had coached so many great players, and he was just a fun guy to be around, and certainly a player's coach, and one that everyone in the locker room really liked to be around. He had an unbelievable career, and hope he enjoys his retirement.
Yeah. Back to his answer on Baker, because they kind of are. Their careers have been
similar.
Very, very similar. Yeah. I hope, it's my hope, because I don't wish any ill will on Baker Mayfield. I really don't. He gave us some great memories. I hope he usurps some of that maturity that Tim has always had. Tim had it when he was coming into the league as a 22-year-old kid. Yeah. I hope that Baker can, because it seems like he just stiff arms all the good advice. Like he already knows better. He doesn't need, and he could really, I think he could help himself out both he's still in the middle of his career. Yeah. He can show teams that I'm ready to grow from this and move on. Because if he continues to show that he hasn't grown up, then he's giving teams across the league a reason not to go get him.
Has he ever reached out to you, Tim? Has he reached out to you? Because if I were him, I would have.
Not about this stuff. We've talked several times on different occasions, just small talk, just about just really football stuff, and just when he first got to Cleveland about just handling being a franchise player, being the #1 pick coming in. We've talked about some stuff like that, but I haven't talked to him at all since all this stuff kind of went down, and they brought Deshaun in. Haven't spoken to Baker, and it's probably been a year or so since we've talked, but we haven't had any discussions about it.
So Jay, you got to understand that Baker is at the proverbial crossroads, right?
Yes.
People want to see growth here in people, right?
As a person.
Yeah, because as a young person, you can be brash and everything you want, but at some point, you have to realize that everybody's not feeding you BS here. Here's the story. I got to make a change here. Yeah. And that's what people here are waiting for.
Just to humble themselves.
Yes, say, hey, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to get better. Just do that.
And I wonder if that's happening, guys, because he did the one podcast, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. He didn't crush the Browns as bad as I thought that he could, which, deservedly or not, it's not going to do him any favors. But the fact that he's kept quiet this long, I wonder if there is some maturity and some growing up in the offseason.
Jason, it would be much better. I tell you, you want to make a statement, you walk into the OTA. Do that, right? Do that. Do something they don't expect you to do, right? Not do that, right?
Would they welcome him?
They don't want him there. They don't want him there.
It's not about what they want. It's about him. It's about him showing that he has grown, right? Walk into the OTA, absorb the heat, because people say, you showed up here, what are you doing here, right? Go through your reps, right? It's only a matter of days.
That's humbling yourself.
That's humbling yourself.
Yeah, that is.
That's what people want to see.
What's going to happen with training camp, Jay? Do you think he's going to show up?
No, I think he'll be excused. No. Baker, I would be stunned if he's ever back in Korea.
If he wanted to, he could.
If he wanted to, he
could.
could.
Per the CBA, he's
under contract.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
I think.
interesting. Hey, Tim, I know you wanted to talk about Jacoby Brissett. He might be the low-key most important player on this Browns roster coming into the season because we don't know. And I think there's every anticipation that there will be some kind of suspension, and I think there's most expected that would happen before the season begins. That puts an incredible amount of pressure on a guy that once upon a time had a pretty good season with the Colts. What if he has to guide this ship for a number of games, 6? Where are the Browns, and what are your thoughts on Jacoby?
I like Jacoby as a player myself. I think he's had a couple good years in Indianapolis. He's put up some good numbers. He's shown he can win football games for you. And, I think this is the exact reason why he was brought in here. Of course, the Browns were anticipating Deshaun being suspended for a little bit and possibly being out, or if he gets an injury when he's healthy, if he's in there, or when he's allowed to play, if he gets an injury, Jacoby can come in and play. And he's shown he can do that. Obviously he's not, he can be your long-term answer, but I think he's a guy that can fill in and be a really serviceable backup guy. He can come in and complete passes. He can be accurate with the football. He can put points on the board. And, I think he's a guy that, can hold it down until Deshaun comes back.
Hey, Tim, let me ask you a question. I just thought about this while I'm sitting here thinking. What would Baker walk into the training camp, what kind of pressure would that put the Browns under to make a move? What would that do?
I think it would be a lot. I think it would, it'd be a media circus, first of all. I think they would have to deal with all that, which I don't think they would really want to deal with, just having that around the organization, especially with everything they're dealing with already with what Deshaun's going through, for Baker to show up and to get him more media attention on that. I don't think they would probably welcome that. But, if I'm Baker, I'm going to show up. I'm going to make him make a decision.
Wouldn't that force that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think, if you're under contract and you're allowed to be there, you'll show up, get your reps in. I think, you can work out at home and you can do all the training with quarterback coaches you want, but it doesn't simulate what you can, what you can get out of being at practice and going against live defense and live coverages and rushes and all those kind of things. So I would show up and get my reps in if I were Baker and just see what happens.
That would be one of the most Browns things of the year.
Yeah.
If Baker showed up,
just trade him.
Figure it out. What a nightmare.
Baker showed up and started talking.
Just trade him.
Oh man. Oh man.
All right, let's. Hey, listen. A couple of weeks ago, Mike Polk played a game with us on the show, and I don't think we've laughed so hard on this set.
Yeah.
The game was former Browns quarterback or stock mechanic photo, and so we're going to show you now. He gave us 19. And we looked at them and we had to decide, was this a quarterback or was this a mechanic? So we're going to play that game with you. I promise.
Jason and Brad are going to play also because they haven't played. You and I have played.
But here's the thing. I want Tim to give his guess first.
Yes.
Being a former Browns quarterback, I think, guys, it could happen where he goes like 2-3, 0-5. Because some of these, I got to tell you, some of these were really tough. All right, McNuggets, take it away. Let him see the first one and he can make his guess.
I am so excited for this. This has been building up for 10 days. So, Steve, let's get the music rocking. And here's your first one, Tim. Is this a post-1999 Browns quarterback?
It's hard,
stock
isn't it?
photo auto mechanic?
Oh, man. Dude, this is harder than I thought. I thought this would be really easy for me, but that's throwing me off. I'm going to go with stock photo auto mechanic.
All right, guys. What about you guys?
Yeah, what do you say?
That looks a tinge like Jake Delhomme. I'm going to go Browns quarterback.
Okay.
I don't know who the hell it is.
I don't know who
You
the
got
hell
to
it
make
is
a
either.
guess, though. You got to make a guess.
Browns quarterback.
You going Browns quarterback?
See the
Okay.
reveal, Steve? It's a stock.
Yeah. All right, 1-1. There we go.
So he's out to the 1-0 lead.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Good. It did look a little like Delhomme.
Right?
Delhomme was in this. Delhomme is not part of this. So let's go to the
Okay.
second one, Steve. Let's get the next picture. Is this a post-1999 Browns quarterback or a stock photo of an auto mechanic?
He's got the quarterback hair and beard, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It definitely looks like a quarterback, but I don't know who that is, so I'm going to go with auto mechanic again.
Jason?
Looks a little like Jake Delhomme, so I'm going to
That's the bull strategy.
Oh, God.
So let's go Browns quarterback.
I would say Browns quarterback. He's smiling too good.
Okay, here we
He's
go.
smiling too good.
And the reveal?
Auto mechanic, yes.
Tim is taking a commanding lead.
Tim, you're off and running, brother.
This is devastating.
I know.
I can never show my.
I mean, you know what it says is that you don't know? It's,
In my defense, I was covering the NBA for half of this
okay,
time.
right, right.
no, no defense.
Nothing. All right, Jason. Steve, number 3. Is this a 1999 Browns quarterback or a stock photo auto mechanic?
That is Charlie Fry. So that's the Browns quarterback.
He looks a little like Jake Delhomme, so I'm going to go Browns quarterback.
I'm following Tim. That's a Browns
Tim's not very
quarterback.
confident.
Yeah.
That's a confident answer. It's also the correct answer. That is Charlie Fry.
Yes.
When Tim's throwing out the name, you got to follow it.
You got to follow it.
You
Yep.
absolutely have to. By the way, Tim, we were going to play this game with the Patriots, but there were only 4 pictures, so we're like, that's no fun. You know,
Yeah,
you got
that's
Tom
not-
Brady and then a couple of other guys in there, Castle, and so it wasn't any good. It works with the Browns well. Number 4.
Let's see the picture. Is this a post-1999 Browns quarterback or is this a stock photo of an auto mechanic?
I don't remember.
Ooh, that's another auto mechanic.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. That's an auto mechanic.
Browns quarterback.
Oh,
2 versus 1. Steve, let's see it.
Tim, you're 4 for 4. I love it.
That's incredible.
This last one was the one that none of us got, or the lowest percentage of us getting right. Is this a stock photo auto mechanic or is this a post-1999 Browns quarterback?
That is another auto mechanic.
I don't know. Those look like soulless eyes. That looks like a Browns quarterback to me. Someone's had the soul beat out of him.
I'm going to go back with the same route. Browns quarterback.
I think that is a quarterback, right?
Steve?
Yeah.
That's Austin Davis.
Yes!
Oh, wow.
I finally did.
We finally got one on Tim.
Got one wrong. I mean, what did he start? 1 game for the Browns?
2 games.
2?
So you
Two
still
games?
won,
Yeah,
though.
I don't remember him.
Tim, you got 4 out of 5.
Not bad.
Good
Not bad.
effort, Jason. You got 3 out of
3?
5.
All right.
Brad, you got to work on your former Browns quarterback knowledge.
Too much time in the mechanic shop. That's all. Mechanics to me, buddy. Browns quarterback mechanic. The same thing.
Tim, well done, though, brother. Well done.
I mean,
That was
Austin
fun.
Davis
Yeah, I
is
enjoyed that.
Austin Davis is so obscure we couldn't even get a picture of him in a Browns jersey.
No, yeah, no photos.
Did not
Seahawks
exist.
uniform, huh?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Well, I think we didn't play this game with Joe Thomas, but Joe Thomas told the story about the game in Pittsburgh one year when a third-string quarterback came in and he actually had to introduce himself to the quarterback. Hi, I'm your left tackle. I'm Joe Thomas. He didn't know who the guy was.
Like, who are you?
Didn't know who he was. He didn't take a single rep with him all week.
Man, that's tough. That was like my second year in the NFL when I broke my thumb after like week 5 or 6, and we went through like maybe 5 or 6 starters that year. We had like Doug Peterson, Detmer, I think, Spurgeon Wynn. We were down to like bringing guys in off the street by the end of the season, man. It was crazy.
Who about the stands?
Wow.
That about sums up the Browns for most of the
Yeah,
last
that really
20-something
does.
years.
Thanks for that depressing memory.
Yeah,
I had bulk erased that entire season from my mind.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, my God.
All right, so Tim, before we let you go, let us in on a day in the life of Tim Couch. You got the golf shirt on there. You're probably going to kick it for 18, I'm guessing. I know you're going to get a workout in. Like, what is the average day in the life of Tim Couch?
So normally it's a wake up, workout, do whatever my kids are doing, get them to school, do whatever. During the summer right now, my kids are they're in football practice and camps and stuff, so I'm getting them to wherever they need to be, and then I'm heading right to the golf course after this show. So I'm trying to play. I get about 4 or 5 rounds a weekend right now. So yeah, playing a lot of golf, and then mix in some business stuff here and there. My business stuff that I'm involved in, I'm mostly just an investor, so it doesn't require my time day to day. So I'm just able to travel a lot and spend a lot of time with my kids and be out on the golf course as much
You're
as I
living
can.
your best life, man, and you deserve it.
Can't
How's your game these days? Where are you? Are you single digit handicap?
I'm getting close. I'm a 10 right now,
I love
but
it.
I'm working. I'm trending down towards hopefully get to about an 8 or a 9 this summer, and just trying to. I play with some really good players and just trying to keep up with them, man.
Tim, did you actively want your kids to play football, or did you just kind of leave it be and they chose it?
Yeah, I just kind of left it up to them, and they chose it. My oldest son, he's going to be a junior this coming season. He was playing quarterback up until about his 7th grade year, and he came to me one day and he's like, "Dad, I just feel too much pressure, to play quarterback, with this last name in the state of Kentucky." And it's just everyone was just looking at it too hard. So I said, "Listen, man, I don't care if you play quarterback or not. Do whatever you want. Play wherever you want." So he plays defensive end now. And he just got his first scholarship offer last week from Eastern Kentucky University.
Nice.
And Kentucky's recruiting him now. And,
and that won't be his last.
It won't be his last. So he's a big kid. He's just kind of getting started. He's already 6'5", about 240 as a 16-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah,
So, oddly
he's gonna
enough,
be a big boy.
the Browns are looking at Tim as a defensive end to bring him back. Because he was out when he and I were doing the Browns preseason games together, and Tim was out at practice, and the players. A lot of the players would stop and they'd be like, "Geez, what in the world are you doing, Tim? You look like a linebacker these days."
Yeah,
that's called too much time on my hands. I got too much time to sit and work out all damn day.
Oh man, hey, good for you though. Good for you. Now you have 2 boys, right?
Yeah, I've got 2 boys, and my youngest is going to be a 7th grader.
Okay, now is football their primary sport? Do they do it all? Because did you win Mr. Basketball in Kentucky or no? Because you should have if you didn't.
Yeah.
I thought you did.
Yeah, my junior year I was averaging 37 points a game.
Ooh, so, wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Remember I told you the story? I told you they could play. I told you got someone who could play.
So have they kind of fallen into football as being their primary sport, or do they like basketball too?
My oldest son just plays football. He was playing football and lacrosse, but he just focusing on football now. My youngest son plays football, basketball, and baseball. He really loves golf. He'll play anything moving, man. He's just an athletic kid and just wants to be involved in whatever sport is going on at that time. He wants to be involved in it. So he's just happy they're into sports and doing it on their own. It's nothing forced or not me telling them they got to go out and work. They just really enjoy the game and enjoy practice and enjoy working at it. And it's I'm really proud of the development they've made over the last few years.
Well, that's a good thing, and continued success to them, and congrats to your boy. I know that first one's always a big deal because you can sort of say, okay, now the floodgates open. McNuggets has a question for you, Tim, before we let you go.
Sure.
Yeah, Tim, in our next segment, we're going to talk about the biggest one-hit wonders in Cleveland sports history, but I want from your opinion. I asked you this before the show, but who do you think is the biggest one-hit wonder in Cleveland sports history?
Kelly Holcomb?
I would have to. Well, I would say that, but he's my friend, so he would if I said that and be like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" So I'm going to go with I'll go with Peyton Hillis. Would be my,
that's a really good one.
He was on the cover of Madden. He rushed for over 1,100 yards one year. He was kind of the biggest thing in football there for one season. Then he kind of just disappeared. But he had a heck of a year.
Yeah, he really did. I remember. Before he got the cover of Madden, I can't remember who he was a finalist with. It may have been OBJ.
No, it was before OBJ. I think it was Mike Vick, wasn't it?
It might have been Mike Vick, but both of the finalists came into ESPN to do the car wash and do all the different shows. And I remember the producer of our show said to me, knowing I'm a Browns fan, he's like, "How the hell is this guy a finalist to be on Madden?" And I said, he's coming off a great year. Like, I can't imagine he's going to win. Well, he was he was fun. He was a fun interview. But, he was – and after that, it was the Madden curse for real. I mean, he definitely didn't have a year that ever approached that. Tim, hit him straight. Enjoy your day. Live the life we all want to live and wish we could. Because I know you do. The great Tim Couch on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Tim, thank you, my friend. Always good to have you on, buddy. Always good to have you on. And by the way, I don't think it could happen to a nicer guy. No. He really does. Earned it. He's got a wonderful life.
He paid his dues.
Yeah, he did. He paid his dues.
And what a great attitude to have after everything that he went through here.
Right.
To still be. And I'm serious. I think he should really. Baker's probably not ready, but I still think Baker should have some sort of relationship with this city. It's going to take time. It's clearly going to take time.
Tim Couch is an example of the ambassadors that are in sports that the leagues really should be leaning on with these young players coming to understand what it really is all about. Right?
Yeah.
And so,
I don't know that the league has a mentorship program,
Right.
but I think they should. I know they do the symposium,
Right.
but all industries have mentorship programs, and I benefited greatly from it in my career, and I've tried to pay it forward to others where I can. And I think sometimes these kids come in, they're 21 years old, they're 22 years old, they're given 8 figures and told to go figure it out. And don't be spoiled, by the way.
Well, but they think they've got it figured out
but
when they don't.
You can almost understand why they do, because Bull, they've had their feet kissed wherever they've gone. The ground has been holy that they've walked on.
Yeah.
And I am beyond fascinated to see how this Baker Mayfield movie plays out.
Right.
I will watch his career with great interest, whether it's Seattle or Carolina, wherever he goes. Was this a one-hit wonder? Was he a fluke? Or is there something there? The one thing that I've learned, I think we've all learned from Baker Mayfield, is he loves more than anything when people give up on him, when people tell him you can't do it, we've quit. I mean, what he did at Oklahoma, I know you say he's just a guy, but what he did at Oklahoma was remarkable. He goes there as a walk-on, gets the starting job, wins the Heisman
After
Trophy.
Hurts took him, it was Hurts, right? Took him a national championship game.
I mean, it was.
I think. Or,
No,
Hurts came later. He transferred from Alabama.
They had They had an established quarterback there, and Baker's like, yeah, I'm going to Oklahoma. I can beat him out.
I think you're right. They did have a good
I
quarterback.
thought it was Hurts.
The
Maybe
Hurts
that
thing
came
was
after.
with Tua.
Hurts was after.
Yeah, Hurts was after.
At Alabama.
Well, immediately after.
Was Kyler.
What was, and he won the Heisman too,
Yeah, back to back.
which is crazy.
It's
But
gonna drive me crazy now. I gotta look it up here.
I am watching with great interest to see, what he becomes. Is he a run-of-the-mill guy? Was he overrated? Will he never start again?
Oh, he'll start.
Will he
again.
take? I think he'll start again.
I firmly believe he'll start again.
Yeah.
I think he's an average NFL quarterback. I've said that for 2 years.
I don't think he's ever going into a situation where he's the definite starter, but I do think he will start again.
Yeah, he will for sure. He'll have a starting job.
Yeah.
And I go back to what you're saying, Jay. The mentorship program or opportunities, I think, could help him immensely, right?
And I'm speaking out. I don't know that they don't have a mentorship
but,
program,
I mean,
but hopefully teams do.
As I think about my career, the people I came across.
Who did you look to?
So these are the guys that helped me. So Craig Hodges, Earl Cureton, Bill Cartwright, Gene Banks, Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas. Those were the guys.
It's a pretty heady list.
Yeah. So, but they were all different, right? And so each stage of my career was different because I picked up a little bit from this. Gene Banks and Hodges were early on, and then Dumars were later on. Dumars and Isaiah were later on, and so you're learning because you're soaking up the knowledge because now they're giving you back with an experience what they've experienced and say, listen, don't look at it like that. Don't look at it like that. Look at it like this, right? And so,
and I think Baker could benefit from someone like that in his life.
Absolutely,
whether
could.
it's Tim.
You gotta want that. He's got to want.
Yeah, you do have to be open to the idea that you don't already know everything.
It's like when you have a gambling problem or a drinking problem. Like everybody could come and want to help you, but if you don't want that help, if you don't want to get better, you're not going to. I'm not saying for sure he doesn't, but it's not going to happen until he's ready for it.
I was glad that you asked him, Tim, if Baker has reached out to him, because I was hoping that the answer would be yes. I was actually in the room a few times when Baker and Tim were talking, and I was just a fly on the wall. I was like, this is an unbelievable conversation. Yeah. And I was also fortunate enough to see Baker and Bernie talking. And I got to tell you, I know that you would tend to think that Baker would stiff arm all that stuff, but he did listen. He paid them, I thought, the respect and I thought he was very respectful to them. And he asked them questions, and he seemed to be genuinely interested. Now, whether or not he was, and that was just an act, I don't know.
Brad, I think players respect former players more so than they do coaches or GMs or owners or whatever else, or certainly media. What do we know? But I think a player like Baker would look to Bernie or look to Tim and hopefully value their input far more than probably anyone working for the team currently.
But to your point, Jason, you have to humble yourself. You have to be ready to receive it, right? And when you're young, we tendency to have a chance to say, no, I got this. Even when it's going bad, I can correct it, right? No, you can't correct it.
Did you find young players that were coming into the NBA when you were a veteran, did you find that they were more or less likely to seek out that advice than you were when you came in?
They would seek it out with time. You had to earn their trust. Once you earn their trust, then you give it in conversation. We're on the bus, we're on the plane, right? And that's where they get the information at. But you couldn't go to them directly and be like, well, you need to do this.
They didn't want
this.
it.
I want that. You have to give it to them in a way to show them that you're not out to sabotage them. Because the first thing is, people protect themselves. They think that everybody's out here to sabotage you. Like, I don't really know you, so I don't really trust you, right? And so
it happens on their time.
Yes.
The younger players' time.
I remember Anthony Parker holding that role when the Cavs were rebuilding the first time LeBron left, and they had a young Kyrie and a young Deion. I can't remember the specifics of the conversation, but they wanted to buy a car or something that was really expensive. And AP was like, man, save your money. Put your money in your pocket. Don't do anything stupid like that. And that was very much Anthony Parker's role on that team, was to be that mentor and that sort of guiding voice to some of these younger kids.
To your point, Bill Cartwright was the first one to talk me out of buying an expensive car. I said, don't do that.
Yeah.
And we were riding, he and I riding in a taxi to the mall. He's like, don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Because he was like, come with me. We're going to just go to the mall. Bill Cartwright walking around mall in Dallas with me, right? And so he like,
God, that had to be his picture.
He like, don't do that. This is how we do it.
I bet no one knew who you guys were
Right,
either.
no, listen. And so the funny part about it is, to this day, I still follow that advice.
Yeah.
He said, "This is how you buy it. This is how you do it. Don't go blow your money here." Right?
Yeah.
So,
Especially, you guys weren't making
right,
money to these
to this
guys.
day, I still follow that train of advice.
Yeah.
Antoine Jameson, when he played here, was making $18 million. I remember talking to him. He said he loved going to Marshalls and TJ Maxx and finding the deals there.
Yeah.
Just and again, that veteran voice for the
Yeah.
younger guys saying, "Oh yeah, I love going to Marshalls. You get good deals at Marshalls." And TJ Maxx is like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Oh yeah."
The stat is overwhelming, but I believe it's 75% of the NFL players are either broke, addicted, or divorced within 5 years of leaving the league.
You know, I live in Warrensville.
And some of them, all three.
I'm in Warrensville, and there's a Lowe's in Bedford Heights near me, right? Guess who's in there all the time? Jared Allen's in there all the time.
No kidding.
All the time. All the time. Not sending some guy to do some work for him. He's in there.
Well, I'm most impressed that he's there doing his own home improvement jobs.
right.
Like, that says a lot
Hope he's
about
not using a saw.
Yeah,
Is
please
he
don't.
chatting with people or
Yeah,
is everybody
oh man, they go around. They got all kind of people talk about the pictures he's taking with them
That's
and everything.
great, though.
That's
That-
awesome.
that's
But
awesome.
they're just real people.
Yeah.
That's always cool when that happens.
The ones that are the real people, those that, like Tim, those are the ones that seem to do better in
No
the
doubt.
afterlife than the ones
Yeah,
that.
Jared Allen seems like a good guy, so none of that is
Yeah.
surprising.
Good. All right, we're going to take a break on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. A lot to get to when we come back, including this deal that we talked about to start the show. Does college football need a salary cap? Would that fix some of these NIL problems? We'll discuss that and more when the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show comes right back. Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I am a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. I have carried my fandom every city I've ever lived in. People have always asked me, why are you so diehard about Cleveland? It's because I'm from here. And we know how much our teams mean to us. Most of us know that because of our parents. In my case, my father was just a huge Cleveland sports fan. It was really part of our life. It was woven into everything we did. And it was our connection throughout his life.
When you watch Front Row, you never have to ask what's going on in Cleveland.
It is our job to get you up to speed on the latest news and events so you can enjoy all our city has to offer. We are bright, bold, and all about the action.
Whether you're a diehard Browns fan, waiting on breaking news, or searching for a special event for a weekend away.
Our hometown has it all. So join us. We're waiting for you. Front Row, weeknights at 7.
Seeing, knowing, and understanding Northeast Ohio is something we take very seriously.
Because in our connected world, what happens in one community can have an impact on others,
leading to difficult challenges and opportunities for reflection and growth.
So, for in-depth analysis of how today's top stories affect you, your family, and our communities across Northeast Ohio,
join us for 3 News at 6.
So you know what matters most.
Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I'm a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. My favorite all-time Cleveland sports moment, you're not going to believe this, it was Rajay Davis's home run in Game 7 that tied the score.
My favorite Cleveland sports moment would have to be the Kyrie Irving 2016 shot. It's the only time that I've ever cried over any sporting event.
And my ultimate Cleveland memory is when the Cavs won the championship and the day of the parade. It was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life.
All right, we're back on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're going to get to the Ohio State and the college football disaster that's going on over there in just a little bit. But first, I don't know how this topic came up, but somehow we decided we were going to talk about
I made it up. I thought it'd be a good middle of the summer hypothetical.
All right, beautiful. Well, it's a good idea. One-hit wonders in Cleveland sports history.
Yeah.
Man, we've had a lot of them. Now, we've had a lot of no-hit wonders, but we have had a number of memorable one-hit wonders. Bull, why don't you start us off?
Tim
Who's your
Couch
guy?
stole my thunder, as
Yeah,
they
he did.
say, right? Peyton Hillis is the obvious choice. Yeah. Tim gave you a bunch of the reasons already, right? I mean, he had been an okay player with Denver in a limited role before coming here, right? But he had this one season that he was really good, played a huge role, scored 11 touchdowns. Like, the guy And he never did anything like that before or after. So
Did he come
is
from
the
Arkansas? Is that where he played?
I think so.
I mean,
He lives in Arkansas now. He's an actor in Arkansas now.
He's not really an actor. Like no
He's on
legitimate
IMDb.
place
Yeah,
is
he
hiring.
was in a horror movie.
Yeah, he's doing some low whatever. Like he
D-level.
We
he's not really an actor.
He's not Brad Pitt,
He's
but
a
he's
low
in some real
budget.
movies.
That's what he's
come
about to say. Low budget
We interviewed
films.
him a couple of months ago when I was still on radio, and I thought he was out of his mind. Like he was supposedly doing a Browns podcast. He knew nothing about the team. Like it was really odd. Remember when he was here? Like he got married in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
It was the game.
Well, he's an odd guy. Anybody that played with him
He
will
wanted
tell
to
you
be a
that.
secret agent. I mean, there's all kinds of weird. Like all the players that play with him will tell you he's weird, but like if he
They
played
liked
well,
him.
who cares?
They liked
yeah,
him.
but he was a weird dude. But he's the perfect example of a one-hit wonder because to me, a one-hit wonder's got to be really good in that one year,
Yeah.
not just okay.
Hot.
And he was excellent that one year.
Yeah.
And was just a guy, like beyond just a guy. He was a nothing player the rest of his career.
Wow, boy, he just took a royal steaming crap on Peyton Hillis. As an actor, as a player, as a guest on a radio show.
Yes.
Peyton, other than that, how did you like All right, Brad.
At a low budget film.
Yeah,
Gordon.
low
By the
budget
way,
actor. It's not really an actor.
Honorable mention. I'm sorry if I steal your thunder. I won't give any details, but the honorable mention to Derek Anderson, of course.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so my choice was, I know I had a toss-up here because I almost went with my Ohio State alum, Terrell Pryor. I almost did that, but
Yeah.
I ended up going with Kelly Holcomb as the quarterback of the Browns because if you remember, he had that hell of a year. He was running. I mean, they had people thinking that this thing was the next coming, right? And then guess what?
Yeah.
Off the cliff, baby.
Yeah, he found that lightning in one bottle.
Gone.
And that was it.
Moonshine. Out of here.
Yeah.
So my original answer was Peyton Hillis as well, but I told Mikey I got a backup that I promised no one else will get.
Those are the good ones.
Alex Cole. They moved the fences back for this man. In 1990, Alex Cole stole 40 bases in 60 games for the Indians. And to the point where they revamped the entire dimensions of the stadium. And they pushed the wall back 20 feet to 420 feet. They said, we're going to go with speed. We're going to build this team around speed. I think they had Turner Ward and Bull Allred in the outfield. But it was all because of Alex Cole stealing 40 bases in 60 games in 1990. And they pushed the fences back, and he was a flop. He got picked off like 17 times the following year, and he was out of Cleveland by 92.
Like Willie Mays Hayes.
So he was Willie Mays. So in 1990, after the 90 season, they moved the walls back for him. In 92, they traded him. They sent him out of Cleveland. They moved him.
We're building our whole. We're rearranging our stadium around this guy.
That's amazing. That's a good one.
And
That
2
is a
years
really
later,
good one.
Really
he's
good one.
gone out of Cleveland,
Yeah.
and he had like the big goofy goggles,
Yeah,
like
the
the
Rex
big
specs.
the big bug-eye goggles. I loved Alex Cole. As a kid, the months he was here, I'm like, this is great. He's going to hit triples. He's going to have inside the park home runs. No, he sucked. He couldn't get on base, and when he did, he got picked off all the time.
You know,
And he
another
was
guy
out
like
by
that was
92.
Miguel Delaney. Miguel Delaney
Yeah.
hit like 344 one year, and I think challenged George Brett for the AL batting title. And all the swinging bunts and the stolen bases.
Yeah.
But he that was for a minute, too.
Yeah.
The league figured out how to pitch to him, and that was it.
That was it.
Now he's making D-level movies somewhere.
With Peyton
He's a
Hillis.
bad actor.
With Peyton Hillis.
All right,
In
all
Arkansas.
of those are good, guys.
In Arkansas.
All of those good. I think you take the cake. I love that Alex Cole one. Mine is an obvious one for anybody my age. Joe Charbonneau.
Oh, yes.
Joe Charbonneau was the Rookie of the Year in 1980.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had a tremendous year. He hit 289, 23 homers, and 87 ribs. I didn't need that graphic, by the way. That was the years when you memorized the back of a guy's baseball
That's
card.
synergy, Jay.
I know. I didn't know you were building that. But
And he could open beer bottles with his eyes.
he opened beer bottles with his eyes. He once got stabbed in a fight. He gave himself stitches after cutting himself. And, guys, he played 201 games in his major league career. There's not another American League Rookie of the Year that's played that few games. So, I mean, he hit.
But Bob Hamlin, remember him?
I do remember
Bob Hamlin,
him.
yeah.
Kevin Moss, we talked about him last week.
Pat Listash.
So
Another one.
these guys come, but
Yeah.
he did it for a year at an all-star level. He was an all-star.
Yeah.
And he really came from nowhere. It's not like he was this heralded prospect that
right.
everybody was waiting on. He was a guy in the system. And the next thing you know, Super Joe Charbonneau. There was a song on the radio
Right.
about him. Fans loved him. He dyed his hair at a time when no one did that.
Right.
And just as quickly as he came on the scene, he was gone. Couple others, these are honorable mentions. Josh Gordon, to me.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one.
The season that I think he had 1,100 yards receiving in 12. It was 13, okay. 1,600 yards. Guys.
And he only played 14 games.
I know. I mean,
bad quarterbacks.
Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. And obviously the marijuana issues, you know, you got to be available. But throughout the rest of his career, he never had another season where he had at least 800 yards receiving.
He ruined the rules, and he ruined his career.
It's really astonishing how good he was that season.
Right.
And how we never saw that Josh Gordon ever again. And the other guy for me was Derek Anderson.
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody picked him as their
Derek
top.
Anderson, my
G.
God.
Bush picked Derek Anderson for the record.
Oh, he did?
G. Bush did
Okay.
pick Derek
I mean,
Anderson.
he had a great year and was never any good the rest of his career.
In 2007, he led the Browns to a 10-6 season.
Yep. Right. Just missed the playoffs.
He played another 12 years. And he had 10 wins in the other 12 years. So he won half of his games.
He played the longest of all these guys that we were mentioning.
He was a career backup.
Yeah.
And because he passed the look test, as they say. You know, he did a lot of things okay. Yeah. He didn't do anything extraordinarily well.
Could you make a case for Brian Hoyer?
Brian's a similar guy in that
but
he
Derek
stuck
Anderson
around.
had a much better year
but Derek
than Hoyer.
Anderson made the Pro Bowl.
Right. Yeah, he had a much better year.
And they won 10 games, and this was obviously in the midst of their, awful decades.
Yep.
But there was that one shining year there where, he looked like he was going to be the answer to all of our problems.
Yep.
And, he won 10 games that year, and in the remaining 12 years of his career, he won 10 games total.
That's
unbelievable.
That's
all right, did you have one? You don't get one because you're not a big Cleveland sports fan.
No, but I did see when I was doing the Derek Anderson graphic, he threw 20 more touchdowns in that one season than he did in any other season of his career. So that really is.
Well, he threw 29 that year.
And he never threw more than 9.
He threw 31 for the rest of his 12 years.
Right, yeah.
Insane. But we also have some answers from the internet. We asked this question, and as always, when we ask the internet, it's brought to you by PCC Airfoils.
They're our favorites.
Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio, and all locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, get a full benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
When Tim Couch needs parts for any of his airplanes, he goes to PCC.
So we asked the question to the internet. It's what we just asked here. Steve, pull it up. It is, who is the biggest one-hit wonder in Cleveland sports history? And let's cut to the first answer. This isn't an answer, just a great response to the tweet. Josh Gordon took more than one hit.
That is really good.
Yeah. It wasn't an answer. Well, it is an answer, but it was too good not to put in there.
No, so that is the best answer. Yeah. That is the best answer.
So let's run through these next ones pretty quick here, Steve. Rajee Davis, an answer?
He literally one hit.
Yeah,
literally one hit.
Yeah, but you know what? That hit is, it's my most memorable Cleveland sports moment.
Of the conversation.
No.
Next, Braylon Edwards.
Yeah, he's another guy that I considered putting him on my list.
Yeah.
When Derek Anderson was having that All-Pro year, I think Edwards had like 18 touchdowns or something that year. It was an extraordinary number of touchdowns.
Next, Jamie Quirk, literally a Cleveland one-hit wonder. He played a one game for Cleveland in 1984. His only at bat, a walk-off home run.
I didn't know that.
What a great answer.
Yeah. It's a good, but not in the spirit of the question.
It is it's really
one
in the
hit.
spirit
That
of
actually
the
is the definition.
Yeah. It is the definition of the. And you know what? I consider myself a diehard Cleveland Indians / Guardians fan. I love trivia. I've never heard that.
Yeah, I haven't either. I know Steve too.
That's a great answer.
And lastly, Boobie Gibson for sure. One very good game in the finals.
One good playoff game.
Boobie does qualify, no doubt. Boobie qualifies as a footnote to that team that LeBron took to the finals somehow, some way.
Somehow, some way.
But we were fooled. I was kind of fooled by Boobie. I really thought that he was legit.
Yeah.
And was gonna be a guy that, had an impact for a while.
He had a lot of injury concerns. The injuries really, I think, derailed his time. I don't know that I think he was a decent player. I
don't agree with Braylon Edwards either, because I know he had one. That was his best year, but he had a couple other decent years for the Browns, and he had with the Jets. He had
Can
one.
you
decent
call
year.
up? Can you call up his career stats?
Give me one
Braylon
second.
Edwards. I think that he had. I think he had 16
a good year,
or 18
like a pretty
touchdowns.
good year with the Jets one year.
But nothing like that.
Right, but when I think of a one-hit wonder, I think of a guy who was used basically
Kevin
nothing.
Moss. Kevin
right.
Moss.
But you got that, you know.
But the question was Cleveland, right? Who a one-hit wonder in Cleveland. So I don't know that it necessarily matters.
Well, but Braylon had a couple of other decent years for the Browns.
I'm looking at the stats right
Just
here.
read me the
Bull.
touchdown totals.
It's tough, yeah. In 2007 with the Browns, he had 16 touchdowns.
I mean, that's
He didn't have more than 7 in any other
but
season.
7
of his career.
touchdowns
is pretty good.
It is
That's pretty good.
16's an absurd number. Nobody, you know.
7's a touchdown
What
every
did he
other
have
game
the year
for the most
before
part.
and the year after? What were his stats the year before and the year after?
Between the 17
Yeah.
or 16 touchdowns, the year before he had 6, the year after he had 3.
But with the 6 touchdowns, how many yards did he have?
He had 884 yards in
That's
2006.
good for a tight end.
Solid.
It's more than Njoku's ever put up.
They weren't no tight end. Wide out.
He's
wide
no
receiver.
Alex
Wide
Cole.
out.
He's no Alex Cole.
So wait a minute. The year after he had 16, he had 3?
He had 3. Yeah, he had 55 receptions, 873 yards, and just 3 touchdowns.
Oh,
The
that's still a
16
good
was
year. No, that's
freak.
a pretty good
year.
year.
Yeah, he had some decent years. Like
He
that
He
was
was
his best
decent,
year,
decent, very good.
Yeah.
Decent.
These other guys we're bringing up did nothing. They weren't even like starting caliber the rest of their career.
They're like D movie actors
Yeah,
now.
yeah, right.
The other guys you brought up.
And they're not even any good at that.
And they're crazy.
Not even D.
They're crazy.
They're more like Z-level actors.
And they know nothing about the Browns today.
Nothing. Not a
And
thing.
they're in Arkansas.
Hey, let's talk a little Ryan
Wait,
Day.
Peyton
We
Hillis
teased
on
it
line
earlier.
too?
Bring him on.
We actually-
Put him through.
Bring him on.
We
I
have
love
reached
it.
out to Peyton Hillis. Not today,
Good.
but in the past, we have reached out to
He
Peyton Hillis.
probably hasn't gotten the message
He's
yet.
on set.
Yeah.
You know, I bet he hasn't even
I don't
checked
think
his phone.
he uses cell phones because he thinks the government's going to get in his brain.
Wait, I didn't know that he wanted to be a secret agent. Is that true?
Well, I don't know if that's true.
Oh, you're
but that
making
was-
stuff up about him now.
That, I don't
Hey, let's
know.
get to Ryan Day. Let's talk a little
That
Ryan
was a
Day
big
and NIL.
story that year
Got to keep you guys
after.
on track today.
I don't know if it's true enough. Go ahead, Ryan Day.
Did he not say he wanted to be a secret agent?
Yes, that was the
did.
story. I don't know for 100% sure it's true.
All right, let's talk college
goodness,
football. What a
goodness.
mess they've made of this
A mess.
whole thing. So Ryan Day, if you haven't been following this, Ryan Day did something late last week that if he had done it 2 years ago, he would have been banished from college football forever. I mean, remember what we did to Jim Tressel?
For pants?
For nothing. He called 100 members of the OSU football community, big money people in Columbus. He brought them all together, and he basically told them, here's what we need from you. $13 million to pay our players. If we don't get that, it's going to be impossible to keep our roster intact. $13 million. Now, last year, OSU athletes combined made $3.5 million in NIL deals. That number, by the way, is going to be dwarfed every year moving forward. But here's part of what Ryan Day had to say to this 100-people panel from Ohio State. One phone call and they're out the door. We cannot let that happen at Ohio State. I'm not trying to sound the alarm. I'm just trying to be transparent about what we're dealing with. So, guys, that number, that 13 million number, some look at that and say, you're not going to put a team together for 13 million.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, and McNuggets knows this because he was just working there not long ago. I've heard estimates that their pool for players is 30 million. Is that about right?
There's no official number on exactly what they've raised, but I can tell you it's a lot of money in the pockets from the oil donors down in Texas.
Yeah.
Run very, very deep.
Why does anybody
30
have a
million
problem
was
with
the
any
money
of this?
that
I don't
No,
understand.
It's been thrown
I don't think,
around
I don't
there,
think
but that's
anybody
not
has a
official.
problem with it.
Yeah.
It's just so jarring to me that that's where we are. Because, again, 2 years ago,
Right.
could you imagine a head coach
I
standing in
couldn't
front of
have.
a bunch of boosters and saying, guys, we need 13 mil to pay
I
our
couldn't
guys?
know, but the guys that are making the money for college football are actually making money now. It's good.
Sure. No, I mean,
I
it's
got zero
good, but-
problem with
but
it. There should be
Bull,
no caps, no nothing to me.
Well, aren't we going to, Brad, have a haves and have-nots?
We already
Have-nots?
do.
And but the haves are going to be a handful.
So
But they already are.
You have to, first of all,
Yeah.
you have to look at who's getting this money, right? So
Yeah.
most of them getting peanuts. Peanuts. You
Well,
may get some. You may
the
get some to
average.
get.
He
peanuts.
said to keep our quarterbacks,
But they were
it's gonna
getting
cost us
nothing,
$2 million.
so who cares?
But hold on. It's not.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I care, right? Because
Tell us why we should care.
Because it goes back to this. How much money are you going to deprive everybody? How much money are you making here, right? Because now instead of you talk collective bargaining and bringing the thing together, you have to show me the books here, right?
Because most players, Bull,
Yeah.
they're not looking for $1 million, right? They were just looking for a way to sustain themselves while they were there.
Sure.
Right? So they've done everything but try to circumvent the actual fact of saying, let's put a deal together that works in the best interest of everybody. Now, I understand you got money-making sports and non-money-making sports, and you want to take care of everybody. I get that, right? But you have to bring both groups together to try to figure out this way. Now we're going to do what? We're going to prostitute the industry now. Like, I'm going to go to all my boosters and give me a pool of money.
He's not the only one doing
right, but here, I'm not just saying Ohio State. This thing is happening across. It's like a snowball.
Nick Saban did it in Alabama.
It's just going, right? Is this what we want? Is this?
That's why it's
this
a topic.
what we want?
Not
I don't
who
want
cares.
that.
Well, no,
Brad poses the question of this discussion.
I'm a player.
Is this what we
I'm a
want?
player, and I don't want it, right?
Why?
I don't want it like that.
Why not?
Right? Because it's not fair, right? In order for it to be fair, I have to know what the intake is. You still can't tell me what Ohio State is taking in. You can't tell me what Michigan taking in.
Nobody knows.
Right? No, they know.
They know, but we don't. We don't.
So if you saw that number and the players saw what the number was, the athletes saw what the number was, you think they would have something to say about it? Like, wait a minute, you throwing me some peanuts. Because here, I looked at the NCAA women's basketball NIL deals, right? They ain't getting no money. That's not any money. Right?
Some of them are very little numbers.
Even the best person not making any real money, right?
But Brad, they were making nothing. What do you want to happen?
Here,
I
want some equity here, right? That's what I want. Some equity here to a degree, right? I'm not saying you make what the university makes, but I tell you this: there's some athletes out here that garner the big money because
you're talking about a split between the schools and the players.
You're saying you want players to get paid by the school?
Then you have to take the best players because they have an extra opportunity, right? So we're not going to negate that opportunity, right? You're throwing the person at the bottom peanuts and kibbles and bits, right? Take your 200, take your 500, be happy, right? Why are you making it in billions? But you won't tell me you're making it in billions, right? You won't tell me that, Jay.
Jason's got something to say. I can feel it.
Well, no, there's so much to unpack here. Number one, if we're going to do this, then we just got done talking about a mentorship program for NFL players and NBA players. Well, now you're handing 18 and 19-year-old kids $1 million or more if they're the elite of the elite. We have to have some sort of infrastructure in place or these kids are going to implode. That's number one. Number two, I think the salary cap in all these sports is to protect the owners from other owners so that people don't go crazy. Right. That's really what it is.
Sure.
And that's why I think we're eventually going to need here so that the oil money in Texas doesn't overcome all of the rest of the country because the oil money in Texas, they can buy whoever they want.
Who cares? But I don't care.
Well,
I think the kids
I
think
think you would care if 4 years from now, if the 4 teams that were in the BCS playoffs were Texas A&M, Texas
But we only have 4 teams in the same 4 teams.
I know,
in the
but
playoff now anyway.
Bull, the idea
Oregon's got a ton of money. Ohio State's got a ton of money.
The point is, nobody has the oil money.
Then why weren't Texas getting good players before when they were all paying under the table?
Well, because it wasn't open and out and free for everybody to do. There were some rules that they had to follow. Were those rules skirted? Of course they were. But you weren't giving players Lamborghinis. One of these players, is it Tech? One of the players has a deal with Lamborghini.
I'll look it up. I'm not quite sure.
So we want to do something just because we don't like the teams?
No, that's not true at all. We need equity.
So to Jason's point, let's talk to Jason's point. Talk about because you're talking about 18, 19-year-olds, right? And I can speak to. I have one who has
University of Texas running back has a Lamborghini.
I have one at Maryland that has NIL deals, right?
Yeah.
And her mother and I, we have to manage this. We have to manage her money.
Sure.
Right? Because I look at what the hell you get them new Jordans from? Where you get this thing from? Oh, no. You send that money on home, right? Because if you leave it untethered, right, they don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
They do not know what to do.
That's Jason's point,
they
and
have
that's
no
the
idea
point,
what to do.
I think.
And if I'm not sitting there, and Kim Sellers is not sitting there to say, oh, no, Cheyenne, you send that over here, right?
And how many of these kids have that?
The majority of them,
very few.
Majority of them
very
do
few.
not.
Very few.
Why don't we have a salary cap in tennis and golf then for the 18?
Well, I think what you're getting conflated. I think the problem is Jason's point of if you're going to start giving an 18-year-old running back in Texas a Lamborghini, and you don't see anything wrong with that. I think what we're talking about is parameters.
Yes.
You can't.
Well, then the NCAA should have made parameters for the last 40 years.
Well, they don't want to because they're not going to show you the books.
And even to your point, it's better that they're doing it now. But what they did was they just said floodgates open. Wild Wild West, go have at it.
Right.
And that is going to
That's
lead
not
to all
sustainable.
kinds of
But it's not
unintended
sustainable.
But I don't think they're doing it,
and
Jay.
you know what? It's not sustainable, and they know that.
Yeah.
Change is coming.
Jay,
They're gonna fix
I don't
this.
think they're doing it. I think they're doing it by hook or crook because they are being forced to do it, right? There has to be some parameters put in place here, right? But in order to have proper parameters, you have to bring parties to the table.
Well, I just read an article this morning that said these NIL deals that are going to be contested will go down one after another after another. In other words, like the SEC is, I think they're going to be most impacted by this as a conference, but I think what we're going to see is these Texas schools are going to become the Yankees, but in a way that we don't even see, like the Yankees and the Dodgers haven't pulled away from the pack. In college football, I think the structure of the sport is if you have unlimited funds to pay these players, if they have a $30 million pool, and most of the other universities have fewer than a $3 million pool, the disparity is going to be so great that in the interest of competitive balance, you can't have that, Bull.
But Jay, we have no competitive balance now. I just don't see it's just different schools that are going to have the advantage.
There are rules now that create parameters. Like right now, the advantage that most schools have is tradition-based, right? If you're Ohio State, if you're Texas, if you're Florida.
So why are we okay with tradition-based huge advantages and not money-based huge advantages?
Because the problems that are going to come along with with no limits to this spending, I think you're going to blow up the old model of whatever. There is some competitive balance. Every year, if you can tell me two teams that are going to win the national championship, and you're right every year, I'll tell you, well, then there's no competitive balance.
But there isn't. It's always the same teams pretty much in college football.
It is. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. But you couldn't tell me going into last year who was definitively going to win.
But I can tell you 100 teams that have no chance to win.
Well, yes,
every
and
year.
that's always going to be the case, even with the NIL money. But what you're going to have is it's a spending contest. And the reason Nick Saban is seeing red in Alabama is because he knows that despite their vast system of boosters and alums, they can't compete with Exxon money or
but
Texas
why would anybody
money.
be sympathetic to Nick Saban?
Nobody is.
Yeah.
Nobody is. I'm looking at the game, and I think that's what you're looking at too. Like, if the sport becomes college basketball, to me has fallen so far off my radar. I think a lot of people will tell you it's not what it used to be because you can't follow the players.
Right.
They're in, they're out, and now they're transferring, and you're like, wait, you need a syllabus to keep up with all this. I just think that college football is going to become college basketball part 2 if there's no limits put on it soon.
To your point, you know what's coming next? I'll tell you what's coming next. Someone's going to sue the NFL, and they're going to win this time. I know you had Maurice Clarett on the show.
1,000% right.
The NFL has no grounds to stand on anymore.
It's stunning to me that Clarett's case was overturned.
I know, I agree. But
it wasn't based in law.
But a lot has changed in the last 20 years. The next person who challenges the NFL,
they're going to play at 19.
And they will play. They will get in whenever they want to get in.
That's coming.
That's what's coming next.
Yep.
And that will make college football
that
more
will
irrelevant.
really.
But I got no problem with that either.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either.
No.
And I'm all for capitalism. Make as much as you can.
I'm for capitalism too, but if you're trying to protect the sport of college football, I think they should look at college basketball as the cautionary tale.
Yeah.
And I think that my fear is 10 years from now, because everybody will tell you college football will look nothing like it does now. But I don't think it will be ever as popular as it's been the last decade.
There's no money in college basketball like there is in college football, right? So college football is going to put everybody to shame. But I would tell you this. Everybody is not going to college looking for money, for an IL deal.
No.
Some are looking for just the experience, right?
And the education.
And the education. That's what it is. And say, give me a little bit of money so I can sustain myself.
But these rules don't stop anybody from doing
It does, because now it shifts the thing. Now, here, let me just tell you something. If they flood all the money to Texas, where do you think a lot of people want to go? I'm just going to go to Texas, right? I'm going to go make this money here, right? Because it creates an unfair competitive advantage for those that can put these pools together, right? And that's what people don't like, right? Ohio State is asking for, here, we're bringing 100 people together and say,
pass the hat.
Imagine if you're Toledo or Bowling Green. We need 13,000 to keep this thing afloat.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ohio State.
And he said this. I'm not trying to sound an alarm.
Yeah, I know he did.
You what the deal is.
Yeah. Well, whenever they tell you it's not about the money,
it's about the money.
It's about the money.
Ohio State can get way more than $13 million.
Right.
Listen, when I heard that number, I thought
that's not very.
They'll
high.
find that in their couch.
Yeah.
They'll find that in their sofa.
I'm okay with the salary cap as long as there's a salary cap on coaches' salaries too. then it's fine.
It's a totally different subject. Because
But why?
Because what you're looking at now, what you're facing now, is if you have 5 or 6 schools in Texas that are just outspending everyone else.
Yeah.
When you see, and you're not a big college football guy, so I don't really, I mean, I'm not going to discount your comments, but you've never grown up with college football as a big part of your life.
But if Ohio State was one of the 5 teams spending the most money, nobody here would care.
I would care.
Maybe you would, but most people wouldn't.
Well, maybe most people wouldn't, but maybe most people should because
Ohio State
the
already
sport
has
is
an
about
advantage.
to
But
Ohio State's
itself.
not going to spend the most money. They're just not. That's
No,
not
Ohio
who
State can't.
They would never. It's not in their DNA. That's not what they do, right?
No.
They play the
I
role
think,
like they will, but
Brad,
they're not going to do it.
Let me make a statement, and you tell me if I'm completely wrong. I think that when the NIL topic was first broached, the universities were like, wow, does this let us off the hook? Because we're going to a pay-for-play model, and now we don't have to write the checks.
Right.
Let's let Bob's Buick write the checks.
Right.
But now that they've seen it unfold, they're like,
wait a minute.
What the hell just happened? Am I wrong?
Well, that's in their own selfish interest.
But we've already, I forget who it. I think it was Gene Smith already hinted that maybe college football should separate from the NCAA.
Yes, he did.
And I think we're going to see that. And
that's what's coming.
And when football separates from the NCAA is when they're going to go under this whole mode of salary cap or whatever it is. I don't know what the answer is.
It's a professional sport that they got to get paid.
And I think that they're
it
trying,
is now.
They're trying to build the plane and fly it at the same time. But this current system is not sustainable. It's untenable.
So Jason, what corrects that?
Rules.
Correct the rules.
Some parameters.
And the negotiation between all parties.
Yeah, you want the books. You want want these universities.
So we have to work out a deal here that we all can survive on, right?
Yeah.
Because right now it's just here. Whoever's the highest bidder, that's where we're going, right? That's why you read these transfer deals. Guys who was fully submitted at a university said, "Oh, got a call. I'm leaving.
Yeah,
I'm leaving," and then go back and threaten you. Like, you don't give me.
Well, let's reconvene in the year 2032.
Isn't that what coaches do? Isn't that what coaches currently do?
Yes, it is what coaches do.
Yeah.
And for the most part, there's only a handful of them that have really monopolized that. But these guys have no problem leaving 85 kids in their dust to pick up a couple extra $1 million somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelly just left a great situation at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right.
Wasn't good enough.
Right.
So we went to LSU where the grass was literally greener with green as in money. Let's reconvene in 2032 if we continue to have these NILs like Wild Wild West, and we'll talk about what's happened to the popularity of football over the last college football over the last 10 years. I do not want to see that college football become college basketball. I feel that's my fear.
Yeah. If there was some equity out here, you'd see less players jumping around here. Because
so when you say equity, let me ask you this. Do you mean all Division I athletes that play football get a $6,000 a month stipend?
I think there has here. I feel for the people that don't make any, and our own scholarship don't make any money. There's a pool of money being made here. NCAA basketball tournament pays for all the entire sports, NCAA sports except for college football, right? And that money gets spread around.
Sure.
You have to take the pool of money and figure out what kind of stipends are actually out here. If you put a person in a place where they were comfortable staying, they enjoyed the school, enjoyed their friendship, and they had just enough money to make it, right? We're not talking about $1 million, right? That $1 million person gonna be the $1 million person wherever they go. But somebody say, for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for the year, I'm good.
Sure.
I'm good.
I think
want to stay right here.
95% of them would be thrilled with that setup.
I'll stay right here, right? And that'll stop all this jumping around.
But I still think the kids that could get the $1 million, the few kids that should have the right to do it.
No, I agree with you. I think they're in a case, in a class by themselves. And
and by the way,
they're few and far between.
Only a handful of these kids.
Right.
That's right.
I mean, there's one Lamborghini deal that I've heard of. That's the running back at Texas.
Yeah.
Ohio State estimates that to keep their quarterback, they need $2 million. He said the price for an offensive lineman, a top-tier offensive lineman, and a top-tier pass rusher, $1 million.
This is crazy.
Can you believe that? It does sound crazy.
Sounds crazy.
McNuggets, can we go into top 5?
No, what's crazy?
No, we got Darius Garland first.
Oh yeah, Darius Garland. Yeah.
And then top 5.
Okay.
And good bet. We're going to run through these. So
yeah, let's go. We got a lot to get covered. Darius Garland had a free basketball camp. He's putting on 3 camps. One's in Nashville. I think there's another one coming up in Indiana. He had one over the weekend here in the Cleveland area, and I was thrilled to see that a lot of kids showed up. We went out. We decided that we were going to sit down, and this was 60 seconds with Darius Garland, right?
Yeah, 90 seconds.
And 90 seconds. All right. Anything else we need to know?
Listen and enjoy.
All right. Here it is.
I have no.
60 seconds with Darius Garland. Darius, favorite restaurant in Cleveland?
Lago.
Lago, okay.
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower, What would it be?
Super speed.
Super speed?
Yeah.
Aside from you, who's got the best hair in the NBA?
I don't know.
Next question. What's your favorite song at the moment?
Favorite song at the moment, Holy Ghost by Future.
Give us a line.
Give us a line, Winston. Give us a line.
Maybe not from that song.
Phantom like a cigarette boat, all this water on me.
If you had a power rank, salsa, queso, and guac, how'd you do it?
Queso.
First?
Queso's number one. I don't even care about the rest of the two.
If you didn't play basketball, what sport would you play?
Baseball.
Baseball. Who's your funniest teammate?
Funniest teammate. I give it to the old guy, Kevin Love.
Okay. Ideal vacation spot.
Maldives, whatever it's called.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, clear water.
Hot coffee or iced coffee?
What about a frappuccino?
That works. Last one. What's a better feeling? Crossing someone up and hitting a jump shot or dunking on somebody?
Crossing someone. I haven't dunked in 3 years.
I didn't realize he hasn't dunked.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that jumped out at me at that point is Kevin Love is the funniest teammate. Are they laughing at him or with him? Is Kevin a funny guy?
Nobody funny on this team.
Is he really?
He's I've found him to be funny at times.
Quietly funny?
Yeah, he's got a pretty good sense of humor.
All right, very interesting.
Old guy.
I can't believe he's the old guy. I'm like 10 years older than Kevin.
He's the old guy. He's OG now.
He does have gray hair, though.
Man, does he?
It was probably those couple years after LeBron left.
Queso and what's with the queso salsa question?
It's a hot topic. It's a
It
good
is.
debate.
Yeah, I'm all queso. What are you?
I don't use any of them.
None?
None.
You're an alien.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
None.
What?
None.
Jace?
Queso / I'm not a big guac guy.
I'm not either. I would. My power rankings would be queso first.
Yeah.
And guac would be at the. Salsa's good. I'm good with salsa.
Yeah.
I can't believe you guys don't eat salsa
You
or
see this?
guac or queso.
We ain't doing no guac.
You see this?
queso.
We ain't doing no guac.
How are you feeling, by the way? Weigh-ins tomorrow. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I mean, Saturday was my birthday.
And
I went
Bo
out for
gave you that
breakfast
cake,
and
which had like
dinner.
72,000 calories.
My dinner was disappointing. I'm not going to say where I went.
Your birthday, you deserve it.
Yeah.
You can come back, get back on the ship.
You know, G. Bush said he was sick today. I heard he's out running 10 miles. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's actually
right. We'll see.
He's taking this very seriously. Thursday, when I'm telling you, I don't know that that's how he hurt himself, but Thursday he was throwing a lot of weight around in there.
He hurt himself.
Yeah,
He's getting old.
that's what
You
it
know, you
sounds
got to build back up to that.
Do you want to break here? What do you wanna
No
do?
breaks. We're going to do top 5 real quick. Then we're going to do good bet, bad bet.
Okay,
We'll
great.
break and do final take. So,
Okay.
as always, the Ultimate 5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Roundstone offers a better
There we go.
alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too.
Ray.
And today's top 5,
Brownstone.
NBA final storylines after Game 2. So
that's good. That's good because I feel like we had to say something about the NBA Finals. We haven't talked much
I
about
had to squeeze it in there, yeah.
I'm glad you did.
Number 5, Jekyll and Horford. Al Horford, phenomenal in Game 1. Celtics win. An absolute no-show in Game 2.
God, he was.
Celtics lose.
Yeah. He has
You
Jekyll
can't
and
really.
Horford.
I mean, the Celtics went and won a game in Golden State. They split there. That's a win. I can't kill him for losing Game 2.
Yeah, but he looked so good in Game 1.
I hear you.
And I kept waiting for that guy to come back last night, and he never did.
Well, you heard of OG, well, you looked at OD, old dude. That's what happens to old dude, right? You like Al Jones, one day is like this, the next day you don't know. So
Listen, if you're counting on Al Horford to win the championship,
You're in trouble.
You're not going to win the
you're in
championship.
trouble.
Jaylen
But
Brown
it was a nice freebie.
Yeah, and listen, he's a good player. Like I still think he can have a very good series. I think Boston has an excellent chance to win. I would pick Golden State to win it, but Boston very much has a chance to win it. I thought that before the series started. But Al Horford is, if that's what you're pinning your hopes on, you're going to be disappointed.
They did what they had to do.
They came to Boston, got the split. Go back to Game 3 is the most important game. You go out about Boston. Boston wins that Game 3. You got another series here. See, I still think Golden State is teetering here. You don't know what you're going to get out of them. Yesterday, you got something out of them.
I think that fourth quarter the other night was such a wake-up call to them.
I'm wondering if Klay Thompson's terrible play will be one of the 5.
It is on here. It's coming. Don't worry. But number 4, Jason Tatum is officially a bona fide superstar. Game 1, more of a facilitator. Game 2, they lost, but he was unbelievable on offense. You can't guard this guy.
Yeah, but I didn't need the first 2 games of this series to put him in the
agree.
superstar category.
I agree.
He's
he
been
was
there
already
for
there.
me. You mean like on this stage?
On this stage to perform, he's still only like 23 years old. I mean, he's still a baby. So to be on this stage and do what he's done.
All facets of it. But I guess you never know what they're going to do when they get to this stage,
True.
and he has not blinked.
But he's been unstoppable the entire
He's
postseason.
incredible.
He's their most important player in this series.
I agree.
Yeah. Listen, he's got to pick it up in Game 3. I mean, he played well yesterday, but in order for Boston to go forward, he's got to deliver that same performance again in Boston. Now, I expect an electric crowd, electric building.
That's going to be an amazing
and the history
atmosphere
of the Guard to be on display on the next game.
Yeah. Okay, number 3.
Bull asked for it. I'm asking, where's Clay?
Yeah.
He's been terrible through 2 games.
I mean, he's not been good all year coming off the injury. He's just not the same guy
Not
anymore.
the same guy.
They're old.
Yeah.
They're old.
They are old.
You know what was interesting to me last night? Draymond, I thought, was the reason that the Warriors lost Game 1.
He was terrible.
I just thought he was, and
bad shots.
Not just that he was terrible, but that 3 that he took when the game was still in the balance in the 4th quarter, that was the last shot you would have drawn up.
Yeah.
And he had no problem jacking that shot up.
Jack went up last night.
He did, but what I thought the difference last night was, and he set the tone right away. He was saying, okay, I can't score. I can still do a lot of other things. I can rebound. But what he does best is to get under people's skin. Yeah. And I think he established from jump last night. There was a play very early in the game. I think he got a tie up and forced a jump ball or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. And if we see that guy for 48 minutes, Boston will blink.
I was surprised at this. You know, he played a little physical last night, and I didn't think Boston really reacted well
I didn't think they did either.
I was surprised that nobody really, especially he got into a Smart one time.
Smart's usually
I expected Smart to be the guy to be
he kind of backed down.
They're like, hey, what are we doing? Playing by the rules now?
But are you telling your players, though, don't take the bait on this guy? He's going to try to bring something out in you that's going to cause you a problem. Don't do it.
Jason knows this. Is old school. You have to meet old school with old school. You come at me hard, I'm coming at you hard. You come at me with you from Saginaw, we're going to get Sag nasty up in here today. Yes, we are. That's what's going to happen today.
You can be physical without being dirty.
This is what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
Right. And that tone is set at the jump center. Right there when that ball goes up. Now, you want to see me? You don't really want to see me.
Yeah.
Somebody told you wrong.
But I thought they sort of took a step backwards.
Yeah, they did.
But specifically on Clay, do we ever think he's going to be the player he was?
Well, I don't know. The injury was tough, but listen, they're old. They're not by old people's, by sports age, they're old, right? Steph Curry's 34, right?
2016 was 6 years ago.
I know it was.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Don't count out Klay Thompson. You only need 1 or 2 good games out of him. He can deliver 1 or 2 good games. I would not count him out.
He could still be the difference in this series.
For sure.
I mean, you're definitely not going to take that away.
Supernova Clay could catch at any point. He could change the trajectory of any one of these games.
He absolutely can.
All right, number 2, though. The terrible Boston Celtic third quarters. Back-to-back games now. They have been abysmal out of the break. And we know that's where the Warriors dominate traditionally, but they have been epically bad in the first 2 games of this NBA Finals.
Well, Game 1, they shook it off with the all-time greatest fourth quarter in NBA Finals history, at least in terms of a scoring differential.
Right.
40-16, 41-16, something nuts like that. But
they got hit with a barrage last night. They played pretty well during the midway to the third quarter, and then that last 5-minute barrage took them out the thing.
They took a lead, I think, and then there was a 13-0 run.
Well, then they got
Warriors,
it. They got it down. They got it down to 6, and then the Warriors hit them in the mouth with a couple big baskets.
They did.
They never responded.
No,
they never once responded.
It was 12. They hit back-to-back threes to get it to 6, and then the Warriors found the switch, and it was a wrap.
Then I went to go wash the dishes. I was like, it's over.
So I know you say they're old, but when I watched that third quarter, the second half of the third quarter, I'm like, they are old, but they can still ball.
Listen, even the old teams can give you moments, right? You have to limit those moments, right? And
Pick your moments.
And then when you see when they're coming forward, you better meet that. Boston just did not meet it at all, and I don't know if they have anybody on the team that really understands how to meet that head on when it appears.
Horford should be that guy. Horford should be the veteran.
By the way, they're not all old. Jordan Poole became the youngest player ever to hit 5 or more threes in an NBA
How about the
Finals game.
just inside of half court
that was nice.
jump shot?
That was amazing.
You know what?
That was nice.
I looked away from the screen for a second, and I looked up, the ball was in the air, and I'm like, Steph did it again?
Yeah.
I thought it was Steph.
Right.
And then they cut away to Poole, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know whose record he broke for most youngest guy with 5 or more threes in the finals? Want to take a guess?
Boobie Gibson.
No.
LeBron?
Penny Hardaway.
Oh, wow. There's a blast from the past.
Wow. 95.
Okay,
All right,
and the
number
top
one,
storyline.
I am a fan of player storylines over team storylines. The one thing missing from Steph Curry's resume is that NBA Finals MVP, and through 2 games, especially what he did yesterday, if Warriors end up winning, it is heading down that path, and that's the missing thing on his resume. So that's the number one storyline I'm looking at after the first 2 games of the finals.
You guys buying that?
I think he's played well. He has a storied career. Obviously, his father and I were drafted the same year, so I know Dell well.
Right.
Steph's born Akron General, so I don't cheer against him, right? I like to see greatness, right? And he's giving you essence of greatness because you never know how long it's going to last. When you turn 34, 35 in this league, things tend to trend away from you, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know for how long you can play at this level.
Definitely on the backside at that point.
I get defensive over this one because I was a voter. I had a vote for the NBA Finals in 2015, and everyone throws their arms up today and says, "How could Steph not win that MVP of that series?" I voted for Andre Iguodala, and I would do it again today.
Yeah. I mean,
Andre Iguodala was the MVP of that series.
That's the right vote.
And he changed the entire complexion of that series when he went in the starting lineup. LeBron's numbers when Andre was guarding him and when he wasn't was the difference in the series.
That's what won the series for him.
And I had to do a thing with Sports Illustrated on this about like defending the vote. I said I would do it again today. And for me, it came down to Andre or LeBron. Steph was third on that conversation. And for me to vote for LeBron, and I was working for the Akron Beacon Journal at the time, so I took a lot of heat, but I didn't care. Because number one, he had to get it to a Game 7. If the Cavs got that to a Game 7, he would have had my vote regardless of what happened. Jerry West, the year he won it, the Lakers got it, or they got it to a Game 7, and they lost in a Game 7. So you have to stretch the series out as far as we could go, and the Cavs lost 3 straight games. I couldn't give the MVP to a guy whose team lost 3 straight games to close out a series.
History will show that was the right vote.
Iguodala was the right
But Curry
choice.
this year will probably win.
It'll be a lifetime achievement if nothing else.
It will, yeah. And
but he doesn't need it. He's had a remarkable.
Yeah, you're right.
An NBA Finals MVP does not validate his career.
No, but it is a box that's unchecked.
It doesn't
mean anything to me. It doesn't make him a better player if he gets that.
Yeah.
But I do think there are people that, they look at trophies and they see what you got and what you don't.
Right.
And that would always be a bit of a blemish that he didn't have it.
That's not going to keep him out of Hall of Fame.
No, not
Some
at all.
people are looking for an excuse to knock him.
Well, I think what the argument is he a top 5 all time?
No.
Well, top 10. Let's get into the top 10 before we get to the top 5.
10, even top 10. I think for some, they would look at that and say, the guy was never a Finals MVP.
Well,
he's definitely not a top 10.
Well, even if you got his Finals MVP, he's not a top 10. Top 10, yeah.
No, but I think there are guys that are willing to. If he ends up winning bookend championships at Golden State without KD, I do think that especially if he is the guy.
Brad, we'll have this conversation on Friday.
Yeah, we got to hold it.
I actually think if he wins this Finals, I think he's right in the discussion of number
top
10.
10. You don't know your top 10.
He's not top 10.
You don't know your top 10.
I think he's right in that discussion.
G. Bush has him. The reason we're going to do this is because G. Bush thinks
G. Bush has to be here, yeah.
Yeah, so we can't do it today because G. Bush is the guy that brought this up.
Well, G.
We
Bush,
looked at him like
he's
we
not
were crazy.
top 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
Yeah,
He's
I know.
not.
And you my man, G, but he's not a 10.
Yeah,
He's not
that's.
a top
I mean,
10.
you're talking about all time. But here's the other thing too. We don't know. We look at him and say, well, he's at the end of his career. But what he does, and what he does well, I think the expiration date on that might be a little later than somebody who is.
Oh, the high flyer. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
but I'm just giving you.
So he may do this. What if he does this into his 40s and adds 2 or 3 more titles? Because we're talking about an incomplete right now.
So we're talking about today. Is he a top 10 person
today? No.
Today?
Yeah.
No.
But because his story is still being written,
Could he be?
he could add 2 or 3, and if he does, I think he solidifies a top 10 spot.
I could walk in the door and get an NIL deal for $1 million too today. I don't know. Can I? They might rewrite the rules.
You know what? I think that's 2 really good top 5s in a row.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
Good job.
I think that's 2 good
job.
top 5s.
It's a winning streak.
Yeah.
All the ones before that sucked, apparently.
I mean,
let me tell you something, Jason.
although
some of them were like, wait a minute.
Although
who the hell came up
reality
with
is,
this list?
how many other storylines are there? I mean, like.
Oh, I had a bunch more.
Okay.
We could have gone.
You know, I like just the topic because it allows us to talk about the NBA Finals, which otherwise we haven't really been able to do much.
All right, we got to get to good bet, bad bet because the good bet of today is we're going to go way over 1 o'clock. Let's pull up the standings after this stinger here, Steve. Bull went 3-0 on Friday.
Yeah, he sent the text out.
He's coming back
bragging
up.
about it.
Yep. So there's the standings, and
Damn
we're
it.
gonna skip the full standings, get right into the first game here, Steve. 121 Guardians.
Wait, did Bull pass me though in the
No,
overall
you're
standings?
still one game ahead of.
That's
still
all
one
I
game
care
ahead.
about.
One game.
That's all I care about, Bull.
But this is Guardians
I gotta
Rangers.
be beating
Guardians
somebody.
getting a run and a half.
Oh, Jay, you're the loner there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I thought a lot about this when I went back and forth a million times, but
John Grady's had his first good start of the year last time out for the Rangers.
Yeah.
But he's been awful, and he's been really bad on the road.
But so you don't like what he's done for us lately?
No.
Yeah. You don't think he can
he's
duplicate
been injured a lot. I don't think he's – no.
I'm just worried that the Guardians play so well against the crappy teams.
Yeah.
But when they start playing good competition, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah, but the Rangers aren't good.
By the way, have you seen what the Yankees are doing?
Oh, they're absurd.
You talk about a inequity.
Yeah.
They're running away with it.
Yeah, they are.
They're like 41-17 or something.
Don't jinx anything.
Well, nobody thought they would be. I mean, you thought it was going to be a 4-team race in that.
Well, the Red Sox, to me, are the big surprise there. They're like barely 500 or just 500
I mean, the Blue Jays have been a disappointment this year, too.
But the Yankees.
Yankees are
Okay,
great.
what's the next
Second bet. Will Miles Straw score a run today? You guys
can't believe we all
said
did
bad
bad.
bet.
Yeah. Well, that's really tough.
Here's the thing.
It's almost even odds. It was minus 115.
I saw it was minus 115.
It's a tough – you got two things working against each other. Miles Straw, his on-base percentage against right-handed pitchers is terrible.
Yeah.
But John Gray on the road gives up he's averaging like one walk every 2 innings.
Look who's doing his research now.
Exactly.
Look who's
So
doing
I
his
was
research
torn.
now.
I was torn on this.
He was getting boat race. And he goes, that's it. That's it.
I gotta pay more attention.
So last week his hockey pick wasn't even his. He called a friend. Hey, you know the NHL. Is this
And
a
by
good
the way,
or
I
bad
thought I was dead because it was under 5.5 and it was 2-1 after one period.
I know. And the final was 3-2.
Yep.
All right, what's the last one?
Last one. Back
no
to
outside
hockey.
help, Bull. No outside help.
All right.
Avalanche, 1.5
Brad, you're the
goal
loner
favorites
here.
over the Oilers, going for the sweep tonight.
Well, Brad, you are the hockey expert on your panel, so explain yourself.
Well, I look at it like this. You got Avalanche versus the Oilers, right? And I feel like the odds were in the Avalanche favor, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I said let's go to it.
All right, let's see what happens.
Hey, listen, here. I'm going to take the American team over the Canadian team. That's what I'm going to do, right?
Yeah, hey, that's not
what we'll do.
a bad policy. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to do final takes, and then we're going to say goodbye. See you in a minute. Final takes are next. Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I am a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. I have carried my fandom every city I've ever lived in. People have always asked me, why are you so diehard about Cleveland? It's because I'm from here. And we know how much our teams mean to us. Most of us know that because of our parents. In my case, my father was just a huge Cleveland sports fan. It was really part of our life. It was woven into everything we did. And it was our connection throughout his life.
When you watch Front Row, you never have to ask what's going on in Cleveland.
It is our job to get you up to speed on the latest news and events so you can enjoy all our city has to offer. We are bright, bold, and all about the action.
Whether you're a diehard Browns fan, waiting on breaking news, or searching for a special event for a weekend away.
Our hometown has it all. So join us. We're waiting for you. Front Row, weeknights at 7.
Seeing, knowing, and understanding Northeast Ohio is something we take very seriously.
Because in our connected world, what happens in one community can have an impact on others,
leading to difficult challenges and opportunities for reflection and growth.
So, for in-depth analysis of how today's top stories affect you, your family, and our communities across Northeast Ohio,
join us for 3 News at 6.
So you know what matters most.
Hi, my name is Jay Crawford. I'm a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. My favorite all-time Cleveland sports moment, you're not going to believe this, it was Rajay Davis's home run in Game 7 that tied the score.
My favorite Cleveland sports moment would have to be the Kyrie Irving 2016 shot. It's the only time that I've ever cried over any sporting event.
And my ultimate Cleveland memory is when the Cavs won the championship and the day of the parade. It was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life.
Final takes, Bull. You're on the clock.
Guys, look at this. Can you get a close-up on my phone here?
Uh-oh.
Take a look at this.
Here we go.
This is, can we do it or no?
Yeah,
camera?
Stevie's getting it.
Here we go.
There.
Can you read that? It's from Anthony Castrovins, who's a Cleveland guy, good writer. Some MLB stories you might have missed while distracted by Tommy Pham's Fantasy Football League. It's a funny headline, and Anthony is an excellent writer. I like Anthony a lot. I don't say this to take a shot at him. But isn't it a sad state of affairs for baseball that the biggest story in the sport for over a week is a fantasy football league gone awry where one player smacked another player in the face? I love baseball. I know Jay loves baseball. I know Jason loves baseball. Brad, you love baseball or not as much?
It's all right.
He's all right. But here's the problem. Jason, Jay, and I, we're old. So we're throwing you in there, Jay. You're the youngest of the bunch.
Just catching a stray.
We are
aged 10 years.
We are the
Mind my
last
business.
generation of diehard baseball fans, and I fear for the future of the sport. I got to be honest. I have watched less baseball for pleasure than ever before this year. Obviously I watch the Guardians every night, but honestly, and I like watching them sometimes, but I watch it because it's my job. That's the main reason. I have barely watched the Cubs play this year. They stink. They're not fun to watch. I've watched some games, but it's the least amount of baseball for pleasure that I have ever watched in my life. And baseball was my favorite sport by miles when I was a kid. And I think for the first time in my life, the NFL has creeped past it for a variety of reasons. And baseball, if they start losing guys like me a little bit, forget the younger generations. They are not watching baseball at all. Even kids that are playing it, these kids on my team who love playing baseball, on my Little League team, most of them are not watching it. My best player doesn't even watch a game, and he loves playing baseball, but he's not watching it. Baseball better, they're always busy fighting each other all the time. They're losing fans. I know they still make a lot of money now, but that's not going to be there forever. This is a big problem for the game.
Yeah, that alarm bell's been going off for 15 years.
Yeah.
Here's what they always will have in their favor. There's no substitute for going to a baseball game. It's outdoors, and the attendance has held, thankfully. But the TV deals and all that money, that's going to be a shrinking pot every year. Jason, what do you got?
I don't know. I was supposed to do one, but
so let's watch how quickly he can ad-lib one.
So I'll piggyback off what Bull said, and I'll expand it to all the sports. My oldest is 20, and he watches YouTube clips of games, but he doesn't watch very many live games at all. And I think that's a lot of the younger generation is they watch YouTube and they watch highlights. But to sit down and actually watch, he'll watch an NFL game, and that's it. Doesn't watch. He's a huge Cavs fan. Doesn't watch a ton of Cavs games. Big Guardians fan. Doesn't watch a ton of Guardians games. So I do think that the internet has taken over so much of live sporting events that the younger kids aren't watching. And I wonder how this is going to impact TV deals 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Where are we going? And I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know where we're going, but I think I mean, look at Netflix. Like the stock of Netflix just like that just collapsed overnight. And I just wonder if we're going to see this as we're talking about all of these changes. What's going on with college football? What's college football going to look like? Someone's going to sue sue the NFL and win. So what's that going to do to the sport? What's going to become of the NBA and baseball and football as kids of my oldest son's generation? If they don't start watching these games and they just continue to watch YouTube clips, where are we headed with live sporting events?
It's interesting.
This is cannibalizing live sports.
It's interesting, right? Things haven't changed that much in terms of the most popular sport over the last 20 years, I guess. But 60, 70 years ago, it was baseball, boxing, and horse racing were the most popular sports. Right? And things have changed again. Who knows?
Now they watch other kids play video games. Like
20 years from now, playing video games and soccer might be the two most popular things.
Go talk to 14-year-old kids about their favorite sport to play. Lacrosse is going nuts, guys.
Is it really?
It's growing like
soccer.
Crazy.
The one thing about soccer
they already had their big growth. Lacrosse is in that growth period now. I'm not saying that will one day be a made-for-TV sport, but it's the fastest sport on foot. It's nonstop action. It's a lot like soccer. And kids are leaving baseball in droves to play that, and they've already got the eye hand. Catching, throwing, stick, and we're losing. Baseball's losing players to lacrosse. Never thought I'd say that.
Well, where I am, I'm on the outside of these two gentlemen, but I'm sitting here saying this. Cleveland Lakefront and the Brown Stadium. as we work toward access to Cleveland Lakefront, I have to ask a question. Are we going to leave Brown Stadium as it is, or am I the only one out there that's cold at the games, right? As I get older, Jay, I don't think I want to sit outside and be cold, right? So if we're looking at revamping downtown, revamping this area, right, we don't have a discussion about improvements to the stadium here, right? I think if you would pan the opportunities here in Cleveland, right? We use the stadium maybe 8 times a year, maybe 10 if there's a concert or 2, right? I think we can get more bang for the buck. Do the things that other places have done, Detroit, Dallas, things of that nature. Is there some extra money involved in it? It absolutely is.
It's going to go there.
But it gives you the futuristic needs of where I think we're going to be. I can't sit outside, Jay. And
You want a dome.
Should be a dome.
You want a lid.
Retractable.
Yes, it has to be retractable.
Yeah.
Let the air in. But then when it's cold, cover that puppy up because I don't want to be there.
Who's going to pay for it?
Well, we are.
Taxpayers?
Listen.
Good luck with that one.
Well, we are, right? Here, there's a combination.
We're money challenged.
When I say we, it's not just the community, right? We are not. I don't think
Jimmy paid for it.
No, I don't think. See here, you get down a road that I think that what precludes is the discussion that is necessary because I think there's state, there's county, there's taxpayer. Call the question first. Do people want it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Take that survey first.
I don't know.
And also a financial study as to what kind of impact it would have.
Yes.
How would it impact?
I
don't see that we're going to get a ton of outdoor concerts in cold weather where a dome would say, like, well, now we can bring,
Well, I watch Indianapolis in this NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing inside the stadium.
Sure.
Yes, they
So
are.
real quick, 30 seconds, because there's a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah.
Number one, it was trending more and more. If you want a stadium, you pay for it. That's what counties and cities were telling with the LA stadium, with the Minnesota stadium. It was a lot of ownership-driven money. Yeah. Buffalo, I think, changed that. The Buffalo deal went back to.
Swung it back to the
It was
citizens.
unbelievable how much public money is involved in
that's
that Buffalo stadium. But so when the Guardians were revamping the stadium, they knew they were not getting a new stadium. I personally believe the Brown Stadium will be the next to be replaced. The stadium is awful. The sight lines are terrible for the most expensive seats. You can't see the scoreboard.
Do you move
can't
it?
see punts.
Or do you keep it right there?
The best place to do, we did a study on this. I think the best thing to do would be to drop a stadium at 480 and 77 Independence, build up the area around it, and that's what Foxborough did with New England.
Is that where Topgolf is?
That's where Topgolf is.
Yeah, that is a big area.
There's plenty of land there. You can put the stadium there. You can build up economic development around it.
It's not far from the city.
It's not far, but I just don't think I don't know where the money's going to come from that.
Your problem is it is baked into the Cleveland Economic Development Plan of the Lakefront. And I don't know if you've seen the Haslam plan earlier.
I did see that.
No, not the one that was released to the public. There was another one that had to place glassed in with a dome on the top of it, right?
Yeah.
They took that out of it. You need to see it just for conversation's sake, right?
Sure, throw it out there. Let us see
If they want to pay for it, they can do it because I don't think they're going to get the public funding for it.
I'm not here to
and
say
I don't think they're going to pay for it.
I'm not here to say who pays for what, but I will tell you what, Jason, I played for the Sonics. Go ask the people in Seattle what happened when they got real tricky with this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the state got itself in trouble with the money that they promised the Guardians.
Yeah.
Because now Cincinnati, Columbus, all
Where's
these
ours?
Where's ours?
I got you.
And the state has already promised money to the Guardians for this.
I just, like I
renovation.
said, my position on it, I just rather have a discussion, right, and see if
I'm with you.
Right.
Yeah,
we
let's
do
talk
need
about all
a
options.
dome.
Put them all on the table.
I think we should have a dome.
But
I just don't know how it's going to get paid for.
I believe that if the ownership wants it, they need to come forward with the vast majority of it, not 51%.
Yeah, I got you.
It's their team.
Right.
They take the risk. They get the rewards. You buy it.
Right.
You
That's
pay
how
for it.
this was trending prior to Buffalo.
I know
I'm really curious to see
I do
how
think
Buffalo
Buffalo
changes it.
is a bit of an anomaly just because of their fan base
Right,
and what the situation was there with their old stadium. All right, I'm going to be short and sweet. Bull, you've had this conversation. You and I have had this conversation about the announcers and whether or not they drive the games. I believe they make a difference in the fan experience, in the viewership experience. And as Exhibit A, I offer the NBA Finals. And I love Mark Jones. He is a very competent play-by-play man. But I need me some Mike Breen. These are the NBA Finals. And if I don't have Mike Breen, these are not the NBA Finals. And that's what's missing from my NBA Finals. And I don't
100%.
say that to disparage Mark.
No, he's solid.
Mike, I think Mike is one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
And his enthusiasm is natural. His calls are impeccable. And to me, that's what the NBA Finals are. And we miss you, Mike. He's been out with COVID for the first 2 games, and we're hoping that we
Mark
get him
Jones
back Wednesday
is completely
night.
solid, but the game
Mark's a
doesn't-
professional.
It doesn't feel as big
No,
without
no,
Mike
and that's what's missing. So we've had the argument.
Yeah,
Does
yeah.
the announcer really, because we talked about that when Tom Brady got a
Yes.
gajillion dollars to do a job he's never done. If he's good, he'll earn that money.
So Mike Breen to me is what Marv Albert was and what Brent Musburger
Sure.
was to CBS back in the day
Yep.
when the NBA.
And for me, with
without,
baseball,
without
Vin
that
Scully.
being missed,
Oh, the
without
best.
that being
Yeah.
missed,
Yes.
I mean, without him being there, you can tell it's missed.
Yeah.
I don't believe what I just saw. Do you believe in miracles? Of course, announcers matter. If the biggest
Yes.
moments,
Yeah.
you remember the calls
Yes,
from
that's
those.
For me, the
Absolutely
play-by-play guy matters more than the analyst. For
Yeah.
me, I don't know if I'm the minority on that. I probably am, but a great play-by-play guy makes a difference.
I think they serve different purposes. I love a good, I think Chris Collinsworth is the best going. Chris can show me the game in ways that I can't see the game. That's what I
That's
want
why
from
he
an
wins
analyst.
Emmy after Emmy
Yeah,
after Emmy.
show me something that I don't see. That's what I want out of an analyst. And the play-by-play voice for those biggest moments, run, William, run, as pitiful as it is, that's one of the biggest moments.
Right.
But Jimmy's call of William Green's touchdown
Sure.
to send the Browns to the playoffs. It's those iconic moments. Tom Hamilton's got a gajillion of them that you
We're
really
blessed in
remember the
Cleveland to
calls.
have Jimmy and Tom.
Absolutely.
no
with
doubt.
the Guardians and
Yeah.
and the Browns, we've been very blessed. And through history, we've been blessed. We've had some really good ones.
Yeah.
Nev Chandler was one of my favorite as a young kid. He used to do Browns on radio before Casey Coleman. Just tremendous. All right, that's going to do it. We are all out of time. We hope you enjoyed your 2 hours and 14 minutes with us. Aditi's on tomorrow, kids. That'll spice things up. Leroy Horde is also back. I can't wait to get the opinionated Leroy Horde on the latest dealings with the whole Browns, Deshaun Watson saga. And this Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, you brought it up about the fact that a Carolina beat writer for The Athletic has said maybe this is something that could happen. It's an interesting topic of conversation, and we'll dive into that more tomorrow. Jason, thanks for sitting in for G. Bush.
It was fun. Thanks
Great
for having
job.
me.
We love having you in. Brad, we'll see you on Friday.
Absolutely.
Bull weigh-in day tomorrow.
Yes.
No food the rest of the day.
That's it. I'm starving.
I'm expecting a 5-pound weight
Yeah,
loss.
I
Do
got
you have a
it.
goal? You have a goal?
I would just want to lose a pound.
You want to lose a pound. He
had a
gained
rough
pound
week.
last week, and
He's
he
had a
came
rough
back in
week.
here. He looked like a kid that just had his dog
You
hijacked.
should have put that cake out here.
That cake, man.
It's his birthday. Cut him
That
some
set
slack.
me off on a bad weekend. Although I did good yesterday. I was good yesterday.
All right, good. I've got a good feeling. I think you're going to go negative territory.
Yeah.
All right, for everybody behind the glass, thanks as always. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Have a good day, everybody.